Defining Duke, an Xbox podcast, is brought to you by, well, you. If you want to learn how to support the show, go to patreon.com/laststandmedia. Salutations, everybody. It is Matty here today, and welcome to Defining Duke, an Xbox podcast. This is episode 8, and we hope all of you are doing, I'm feeling energized today, so fantastic.
Yeah, we'll go with fantastic. We'll go with, hopefully yours is better than ours right now. So fantastic. That's what we're hoping for.
Yeah, it has been a great week for gaming. We got 9 items on the menu for our news. We have a lot of write-ins to go over today. Really excited about this episode because we're talking about upcoming events for Xbox. It feels like the year is just beginning now. We're starting to get a real rollout of events, news, game releases, all that stuff. So it's getting exciting. So once again, hope all of you are doing absolutely fantastic. For starters, as always, we like to do a little bit of introductory stuff. If you're new here and you want to support the show, you like this show, you want early access to it, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/laststandmedia. The show goes live, early access for patrons on Thursdays, and then it'll hit free feeds like Spotify, Google, Apple Podcasts, as well as plenty more on Sunday. And furthermore, if you want to watch the video version, we're over on the Last Stand Media YouTube channel. You can also find Defining Duke Ultimate, our supplemental podcast there. Episode 4 just went live. It's a solo show. I wanted to squeeze one more of those solo shows in because right now, we're starting, like I said, we're starting to see things heat up. So it was my decision to say, let's do a chill solo show, see how people react to it, because we did a more produced episode with me and Chris and ranking games. And so sometimes it's not always feasible week in, week out, managing both shows. So I just want to see how people respond to what I like to do, which is just kick back, put the microphone next to my mouth, and just ramble a little bit.
And just ramble.
Yeah. In other news, exciting announcement. Last Stand Media now has a merch shop, which is open. It's laststandmedia.shop. And over there, you can find Defining Duke merchandise. There's Sacred Symbols merch. There's also Knockback merch. I'm definitely going to get ourselves a Defining Duke shirt. I want to sport that clothing here on the show. I've actually never been a part of something that has merch. I've never done merch on my own channel. Like I've done like fundraisers.
We did socks one time.
I was going to say, I did Stay Sexy, merch. Stay Active socks for like a limited run. Barely sold 20. Barely sold 20, but still good enough where we were able to get that deal done. But yeah, exciting stuff. So that'll be something you can check out. A lot of people really like the Sacred Symbols hoodie. It looks awesome. The inside has the logo on it, so it's a really cool design. And hopefully one day we can work something out for Defining Duke to get a hoodie, because if you've watched this show before, you'll notice I'm almost always wearing a hoodie. There's something about the security of a tight, long sleeve on me, and then having the sagging hood in the back. There's like a good pressure all around. It's well proportioned. So I appreciate that a lot. But anyway, enough of the introductory stuff. Karak, how have you been? What have you been doing? What have you been up to, brother?
Good. This is like the refractory period because it's so dead. So I've been going in and I hired a consultant, somebody I know who I trust, who's basically going in and helping me with some stuff. Like, where am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing? And that's it, or should I add some stuff? And so one of the things we did was, I've always had a Reddit and I've always posted stuff, but we basically made some rules changes and adjusted that, and the Reddit's exploded, which is awesome.
Nice.
So people have been going there and talking about things, which helps people who can't patron, you know. And then my own patron, I did open up a patron review section now. So when people want to review games, they can go in as a patron. We have a rating system in our Discord, so a person can write up a review or audio, videotape, whatever, and then post it in the channel, and then we can and rate the game or hardware. It can be earphones, and then other people in the Discord can go in and give them thumbs up, thumbs down, you know, help them out, that kind of stuff. And of course, heavy moderation to make sure somebody's not a dick. But it's been really cool. One of the first people to go in there was one of the people I expected to just not trash on it, but like always make jokes. And instead, they were the first one to post a review, which was actually pretty cool.
Awesome.
Like, I think sometimes people want input, but they don't know how to do it. So maybe they become the jokester. And he's a jokester. He always, it's Takedown. The guy you met.
Okay.
Takedown.
Yeah.
He's a complete lunatic, but he, I saw him typing and I'm like, here we go. Like, he's the first. What are we going to see? Is he just going to, do something? And instead, he had a really good review. So that's what I've been working on, is behind the scenes. I got the Persona Strikers thing. By the way, people are noticing the green screen. I'm going to get that fixed in the next couple days as well. It's just, I don't, small room, no lighting in here, trying to figure all that stuff out.
I think it fits wonderfully for our show.
It does. It's Xbox. I've got an Xbox Halo going on around me, but it's just like
the green glow fits. It almost has to stay.
At least it's green, right? I mean, that is. If it was PlayStation, I'd buy a blue screen, and that way it would fit them. It was Switch. What would it have to be? A red screen? I don't think red screens are a thing. Yeah. But anyway, that's been it for me. What about you?
I like that user review idea. I might ask permission to just completely steal that from you. Yeah.
Enjoy. Yeah.
Okay.
Enjoy.
Yeah. Okay. Because I like that a lot, because I have a community that's always looking to just share opinions on stuff. And so I think that might be really neat for them. For me, otherwise, this has been, I guess, really, in the scheme of things, a slow week. I don't want to sound too repetitive, but, I've just been writing a lot. I've just kind of fallen back in love with it. Back when I was a student, that used to be my favorite subject to study. And once I got into YouTube, I fell out of it. So now I've just been doing a lot of creative writing, character stories, locations, all that stuff, and just creating this kind of universe in my head, and I'm kind of just rolling with that. So I'm playing games, but it's kind of been business as usual, right? Content and play, and it's been really nice. It's been a good flow I've been in overall, and I've felt well rested lately, which is rare. That's been kind of nice. Despite, it's weird, because have you ever gotten less sleep and then you wake up and you're still feeling good? Like, I've been running on 6 hours of sleep, and I'm thinking, is this just
I'm
my
much better on 5
spot?
or 6.
Yeah. I don't know if I found my sweet spot by accident. Like, I went to bed at 4 and I had to get up at 10, and I was like, damn, man, I'm gonna be tired. And dude, I was raring with energy. I was good to go, and I didn't crash. Really strange. I'm not a coffee guy either, so yeah.
So this is all natural, Matty?
Yeah, I've always been natural. I take pride in that. I've always been very natural. Yeah, no caffeine in this diet. I mean, back when I had soda a ton in high school, oh man, whole different ball game. But I was pretty much intolerant to that, or I had a tolerance rather to that, because drank it all the time. Just a couple of opening comments to continue on from some of our last episodes. We like to tap into these. Robbie Noman writes in, "Hey Duke boys, Robbie, by the way, I'm going to tell you right off the bat, you are incredibly crazy. You are pretentious. You're a maniac for this comment." So let's read. "After listening to episode 6, I'm a little bit behind at the moment. That's no problem. I've never been so compelled to write in. So think of every conversation we have ever had through 6 episodes, and this is what compelled him. The topic was Squirt the soda. There are some truths that need to be brought to light here. First, Squirt is a Pepsi product. It's not a redneck backyard barrel brewed soda. Second, the flavor is grapefruit. There's also Red Ruby Squirt, which has caffeine, while regular Squirt does not have caffeine. I just really felt the supreme conviction to write in and mention this as a diehard Squirt fan. Anyway, thanks for all your content so far. The podcast is outrageously entertaining and fun to listen to. Here's to many more pointless discussions about food and drink. Robbie, let me just tell you what, you have taken the crown of pointless discussions. Congratulations." Karak,
what I like is he was pointing those out as if we were going to argue, or there was some thing. That's the weirdest comment.
That's why I say he's a maniac.
Which, you're a maniac. But I'm glad, as a big Squirt fan, there's a few of us, but it is weird that I saw people in my Discord who were like, "Oh, dude, I saw you mention Squirt. Dude, I love Squirt." And that was pretty cool, because it is just a lesser known drink. It's but it's not one of the lesser knowns that nobody drinks because it's terrible. It's just lesser known because it's not distributed in the same way.
Yeah.
So, but no, I've got nothing to add other than you go, bro.
Yeah.
Good for you.
I hope he gets a job with them, honestly.
Fight the good fight, man. Get a job.
Last opening comment, then we'll get into some warm-up questions. Giovanni Domingo writes in, this one I was originally going to be like, no, I'm not fucking reading this. But then I got to the second half and I went, okay, this is Karak helping him out. He just made a joke. "Hey guys, just wanted to let you know that I gave Karak's home remedy migraine relief sex a try this week, and I'm now blind. Really looking forward to this episode, because listening to audio podcasts is now my primary form of entertainment. Love you guys, and thanks for the terrific recommendation. My wife is skeptical, but I've been migraine free for a few days now, and I'm pretty sure she's still living in the house with me." Congrats, Giovanni. Happy for you, man.
Congrats. Yeah.
All right. Warm-up questions, more serious stuff. Let's talk a little bit about PlayStation in a way here, because it does connect to Xbox. We've seen some really significant moves from PSVR 2 to a new state of play, Days Gone coming to PC. That's one of our items on the menu, so we'll get into Days Gone in a little bit. But Cole Helgerson writes in, "Hey Duke men, with the announcement of an official PS5 VR headset announced this morning, Do you guys ever think that Xbox will change course and develop a console-specific VR platform? Or will they just rely on Windows mixed reality to satisfy that itch for their customers? If not, what sort of software or hardware innovation would force them to make the jump? Thanks for a great show each and every week. Man, now I thought about this a lot when I saw it, and I don't know at times if I think Xbox, I don't want to say they don't need VR. I think VR in a lot of ways is the future, but since they're so PC-centric, would it be better just to partner up with other VR providers instead?
Yeah, I think you sort of hit the nail right there.
Really?
Like,
wow.
Windows, well, yeah, because you can't, so the same argument is, that's why when I always say you can't have it both ways, you can't say that like Windows, somebody will say it's not exclusive because it's also on Windows, and then say, why does the Xbox console not have VR? It's like, well, if you believe it's all one thing, then Windows is one of your consoles, and it does have VR. So what I think they're asking is, will an Xbox specific plugged into the Xbox system have VR? They could do WMR at any time. They did state that they tried it and they couldn't get the frame rates good enough, and that was back in the Xbox One days. So that makes sense, right? Not to release a low resolution, low performing version. So yeah, they could. I don't think there's any innovation that they actually need. I don't know. So Maddie, you've got a PS5 now too?
Yes. Yeah.
So the PS5 has that USB-C on the front, which is your high power form factor. 100 watts can be delivered through that, which is quite rare. Most USBs is low. I believe it's a normal power wattage. So with PlayStation, they'll probably just plug in their headset, right? With the Xbox, it is slightly different. The front, I don't think, is a power delivery USB, as in super high power, that it can run everything off one wire, which is why you heard PlayStation say everything will be one wire, because they are quite literally most likely using the USB connection that now allows for, I mean, my monitor is USB. Power is actually through the USB, which is, back in the day, you couldn't plug a couple things in before the power went out. Yeah, there wasn't enough power. So
I think, yeah, it's funny you bring that up, because one of the more, it sounds so stupid. I'm going to sound like a complete amateur here, but one of the more mind-blowing moments I had was 2 years ago when I bought my Acer Predator monitor, and it came with USB things on the side, and that's where I plug in my webcam now. And it's like, wow,
right.
I have more USB
Isn't that
power.
Awesome? Yeah.
I just think it's awesome that it provides that. Anyway, thank you, Cole, for your write-in. Let's move on to James Walker. By the way, if anyone wants to write in for our show, once again, patreon.com/laststandmedia. We had about 40 plus write-ins this week, and we're always down for more, right? I see Sacred Symbols, the established premiere show on Last Stand Media, hitting around 90 to 100, and we're going to reach for that next week. I want everyone to write in.
Get on it, people. We want to hit
There's 10,000 of
100.
you, right? There's 10,000 of you. You tell me
there's
100
10,000 of you.
Yeah, that's bullshit. All right. James Walker. I'm pissed now. James Walker writes in, greetings, Kraft Cheese, Karak, and Mountain Dew Maddie. The inquiry last week on which RPG should the commenters start, you all picked Greedfall, got me thinking. Elix, Kingdoms of Amalur, or Dragon's Dogma? Which should I play first? Now, this is the best part, and it's why I picked this. This is how important it is. Some context. I am a massive RPG fan, from AAAs like Mass Effect and KOTOR to jank titles like Technomancer, and in fact sometimes prefer shorter RPGs that are fun even if unpolished. So out of these three, which should I play first? Cheers, my dukes. Context. Thank you. We can, instead of shooting from the hip here, we can give you an accurate.
First of all, he's also my favorite person now, because he's okay with Technomancer, which I had that big back and forth with Total Biscuit when he was alive.
Yeah.
He was not a fan of Technomancer, and I was, and people on Steam were talking about it, and then I talked to him about it, and he's like, dude, how? And I'm like, listen, man, and which is funny, because he was from there, and I'm not. Like, you would assume he would be okay with the Eurojank, but he's talking about Elix, Kingdoms of Amalur, Dragon's Dogma. Like, personally, I would... Dude, it sounds funny. I love all those games, but I would say Dragon's Dogma. That's just me. Dragon's Dogma. Yeah. I would love to see somebody play that.
I hesitated for a sec and thought Kingdoms of Amalur, because it's a great beat 'em up at its core, honestly, which is kind of strange to think about, because it's got the Cards of Fate system, which allows for good builds.
Yeah.
And you got R.A. Salvatore helping write the universe. So there's some interesting stuff there, but there's nothing really like Dragon's Dogma. And that's the main point here. It's just such a special game. It really is. And it's one that I want to go back to this year. I think now where we're in this lull heading into March, I think now's the time I'm going to strike. But Dragon's Dogma is like Monster Hunter, Skyrim in a weird way. It's got so many different elements from games, pulls them all together. And I cannot recommend this one enough. You know, I wouldn't even say jank is the right word for it either. Like it's
Dragon's Dogma doesn't have jank as much as Dark Souls Light kind of feel to it because some risk there. But if people haven't been sold on Dragon's Dogma, I don't know. Dragon's Dogma has one of the best opening couple hours I've ever played in my life, ever, in any video game, ever. And it's because the first couple minutes, you're like, this isn't it's sort of boring, bland. You fight a guy and you go into one of the worst locations I've ever seen. It's the beach town location. It's terrible. It looks like the world's worst like beachfront location you would go, where you would look at the brochure and go, this sounds awesome. And then you get there and you're like, this is fucking horrendous. So leave that area. And there's a quest that has you deliver a monster's head. And I'm telling you, I've never felt whatever I felt in that moment, because as darkness descends and you start to have zombies reaching up out of the ground, because the zombies get worse at nighttime, the world gets more dangerous, and your light actually is around you versus all over the world. And moving and seeing that city, I had an actual moment of true, like, thank godness when I saw Gran Soren, the town, when I knew I was getting near it, because it was getting harder and harder. You saw the harpies, then it descends to nighttime. Now you're getting attacked by zombies. I'm like, what's going on? And I remember coming around the corner on the way down the mountain, and you see Gran Soren's light. And it's not even right there. It's like a ways. And I remember like a tangible feeling of, oh God, that's awesome. And each and every time I got attacked was that moment where you're like, please God, don't let me die right now. Yeah. And you kill a dude and you'd go a little farther and you'd hear out of the ground. You'd be like, oh my God. And your pawns are attacking shit and you've got your little light on your, dude, I'm telling you, if you haven't played Dragon's Dogma, you're missing out. And if you please ignore the first 15 minutes, because I don't know why they start you in that shit ass hamlet that you start in. You just leave as quick as possible. It's
funny because we share the same opinion on the game, but we come from different angles. Like, I think the opening is very slow and could be a little boring, but I do think that's on a returning opinion, right? When I first played it, right, I would say once you get to that city or town, that's where you hit that oh yeah moment. But for me, it was those opening missions that as you're kind of going back and forth between the beach town and that one
interesting.
Fort, that's where I went,
like that,
man.
Huh?
Like it felt a little slow to me. But what happens is
no. Okay, I agree.
Okay.
We agree.
Okay.
Sorry, I meant after the fort. You're right, I'm wrong.
Okay.
Continue, by all means.
Yeah, I was just going to say, once the game opens up, though, and you start to get all these missions and the job system of switching how you play, I think there's a specific name for it, but I'll put it this way. I played that game when it came out in like 2012, and it still resonates with me. And that's not nostalgia. It's just, it's a really unique title. So,
dude, launching a friend into the air, Matty.
Yeah,
you have the pawn,
the
and the pawn will run towards you, and you're like, front like a fucking human trampoline, and he leaps up in the air and grabs onto a harpy to grab the harpy and drop him to the ground. And if you're not impressed in today's current age of cyberpunk not letting you sit on a fucking bar stool, I don't want to know you. Like, if you're not impressed by a 2012 game kicking the shit out of cyberpunk, and again, I'm just saying a current game and its interaction, you could replace cyberpunk with any game. Most games don't have that kind of interaction. They just don't. And
yeah, man,
it fucking works, man.
Yeah, it reminds me in the way I felt of Lost Odyssey. That's a game I speak of very positively on this show, where it's that you play it now and you go, how is this back then? It's that sort of transformative like experience. Yeah. So if you're looking for something that really doesn't have that much age attached to it, despite it being an older game, Dragon's Dogma is a good look. It's not that compact. You mentioned, James, how you might like a shorter RPG. I wouldn't say short defines this one. If you are looking for that, none of these really do. I don't know about Elix, but I know Kingdoms of Amalur certainly isn't short.
Elix is Euro open world, by the way, which means a lot of quests and stuff in different tons of factions, different cities. It's not short.
Yeah, none of these are short. So Dragon's Dogma is your best pick. All right. Cody Richter writes in, hey, Karak and Matty. How do you guys feel about the marketing deals Microsoft and Sony have with third-party studios and certain IPs? For example, AC Valhalla was advertised very heavily on Xbox, and most Call of Duty videos are on PlayStation. Obviously, these are big titles, and having an Xbox logo at the end of an AC trailer is going to appeal to the casual consumer and so on. But is there anything more to this than the other partnership to promote a game? If that's the case, should these companies pick titles that legitimately run better on their respective consoles? P.S. Please don't ban me from the show after my comments on the MGR story last week. Yeah, so what I always think of with this is how, because he brought up Call of Duty, so it even sparked immediately, was how Call of Duty used to be Xbox for a very long time.
Yeah.
They would get the map packs first and everything. I don't think it's just marketing, and depends on how big the game is, but we did see an era of DLC on this thing first, and we still do see that sometimes. I think what we're starting to see it expand into is exclusive to for a timed period. That's what it's slowly becoming. And sometimes it even gets me. That's the other thing. I think of Scarlet Nexus. There's an episode of Ham Radio where I literally said, oh, Scarlet Nexus is an Xbox exclusive because of the way the trailer is presented. It was during the Xbox showcase for the gameplay.
Right.
And it had an Xbox logo at the end, no PlayStation. I went, oh, wow, that's a great get. They're doing a Bandai exclusive Xbox game. And then I see afterwards, months down the line, they're like PlayStation, PC, everywhere. And so, yeah, it gets you. So it's synonymous with Xbox in a way. And that goes deeper for, I'd say, a more casual person than me who's going to research that. And I was corrected on my show as well. But, outside of that, do you think it goes a little bit deeper than just mere advertisement?
Man, it might also go to, somebody just knowing somebody and feeling comfortable with the company and feeling comfortable with, the somebody that they've worked with. I mean, we know that's happened with, look at Obsidian with Bethesda and Microsoft. They obviously for a long time were comfortable, right? And when you're comfortable, I don't think this would have happened under some of the other leaders at Microsoft that they joined. But when you're comfortable, things can just come together a little bit better. It's almost like a bro kind of, like if you and I were talking about a video in the future, I wouldn't need as much emphasis on what we were doing when, as much as you and I just saying, hey, let's do a Dragon's Dogma video. 2 hours, all we do is talk about Dragon's Dogma. If you said that, I would be like, okay, and I wouldn't need much more.
Right.
With somebody else, I would be like, well, when, who's doing it, how we do it? There's more of those details needed. I don't see much to do with any of this kind of stuff. I also think it's different groups. You and I see it sometimes, but I think a lot of people out and about, they may not care about the exclusivity of like a skin, but they certainly would for only on. Microsoft bought, what was it, Ballad of Gay Tony and the other GTA. So it definitely happens. I would love to see that stop though. That kind of stuff that I don't like, a huge expansion being on something's a little rough.
Yeah, because it's like supplemental where it's how much of a win is that? I get like a major game.
Yeah.
You see the point in that, the purpose in that, but I feel like an expansion. Like I remember when I was a COD guy, the stimulus map pack, I think for MW2 being exclusive to Xbox as a PS3 player. I was like, damn, man, this sucks. All right. Campbell Jones writes in, hello, Karak, and hello, Matty. This last week, the Castlevania-like game Blasphemous released a special update that included 5 challenge levels featuring a special flower-tattooed lady from Bloodstained. This update came paired with some quality-of-life stuff, some new items, and a boss rush mode. It's been really fun to rerun through the game with added content and quality tweaks. My question today for both of you is, what makes a game meaningful to return to for you guys? For me, an update that isn't just a new game plus or quality of life, but an update that maybe was held to be a bit beefier and stand out. Meaningful updates always win me back. Anyways, best of luck, but worst of days, Campbell.
He listens. Have you noticed that?
Mm-hmm.
Best of luck, but worst of days. That's context. Something that's important to me. He's listened. That's why your answer gets on here, guys. You delivered context, and so Matty was like, this guy knows what's up.
That's what I'm saying, man.
He knows,
I can tell when you guys watch, man. Like the
right.
If you'll notice, there's
the
a theme here.
Thing.
There's a theme here. Yeah. If you notice, James Walker mentioned carryover from last week. Cody did. Campbell did.
Yeah.
We like interacting with you on week to week, not just talking at you and then talking at you again. The back and forth is appreciated. So, with that in mind, a meaningful game to return to. I know, Karak, you're a tougher customer to me on that front, right? Because New Game Plus doesn't work on you. So, what does work for you? I think your answer will probably be more interesting than mine.
Story. Narrative. I've replayed Mass Effect over 40 times, Mass Effect 1, Mass Effect 2, well over probably 30 or 40, and it's because of story. And I've even gone so far as to find role-playing systems that allow me to like role-play outside of the game because I've played the game so many times. I'm like, I can't just be the same Shepard. I got to figure something out. Story, Dragon's Dogma was gameplay and world, but it's rare ever that I bite off when it's like, here's a boss rush mode. Complete waste for me. You could spend millions on a boss rush mode, and I'd just be like, do not fucking care. So it's more about like narrative and story, and that's why you won't see me returning to, Dragon Age. But you might see me returning to Mass Effect, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, for me, it really depends, because sometimes it can be more of a good thing. I think of Hitman 3. I just want a little bit more of that, right? So I'm looking forward to diving into their February roadmap, where normally I wouldn't care about that. Or like, here's some contracts, here's some creators and stuff that have made missions, and at the end of the day, to me, it's just more Hitman 3 with a new objective in mind. So for me, sometimes that simple stuff can work, but with other games, it's a timeliness. Like Avengers is a game that I played, reviewed, and thought this is absolutely terrible, but you could at least see at its core to some semblance, maybe the gameplay could be good with patches. But to me now, kind of like with Anthem, which we'll talk about later in the show, too little too late. And I think that hurts a lot. So there's a timeliness to it. There is an amount. Sometimes I'm not looking for the gigantic updates, because I don't need a game to roadmap me every single time. I feel like there's this obsession in the industry of, here's your roadmap, here's how we're going to keep you for a year. And there is value in that, by the way. I get that, because you want to spend $60 and get all of that content. So I totally understand, respect that. Just for me, I think sometimes you can see that they're really stretching it out. And so it's a case by case for me. And I can't think of a specific example right now of one that really stood out as an update. It's usually DLC, like true expansion content. I think of Far Harbor for Fallout 4. That's one of my favorite DLCs of all time. That is just
I would agree with that.
So fucking good. And they amended a lot of things that were wrong with Fallout 4. They added skill checks. They added multiple endings. They had a really unique atmosphere there. They took Point Lookout and just put it on steroids.
I'm going to take care of this dog.
Yeah, no problem. I'll be right back. And so for me, not Point Lookout, Far Harbor is what really hit the nail on the head. Outside of that, there's also Oblivion had an expansion. Dragon Age Origins had the Awakening expansion. So for me, what ends up clicking at the end of the day is just those bigger, beefier stories. And as much as I'm not, for those who don't know, I have a 2020 review on my channel. I'm not a big fan of Dragon Age Inquisition. There are parts of that game that are very bright, but I appreciate the hell out of BioWare just going ham on the DLC. I had 3 different pieces of content to go through. The Descent, one I forgot about that was kind of inspired by Vikings, but that was just, I didn't even finish it. And then there was also the Trespasser DLC. So there was just a ton of content to sink your teeth into. So for me, it's about those stories usually, more times than not.
Layer the Shadow Broker for Mass Effect. I know everybody loves that one, and admittedly, I have not returned to it, but I hear it mentioned all the time.
Yeah, that's one that always gets brought up. Last intro question, then we'll get into the news. Nathan Norman writes in, "Good day, gentlemen. My question is simple. Do either of you have a game that is objectively bad that you love to death? I say this as Dragon Age 2 is in my top 10 of all time. Wow. Woo. And I've never heard anyone say a good thing about that game. Keep it classy, defining Duke of Tears." Man,
that tuckers me out even reading that.
Yeah, wow. All right. I want to go back to Dragon Age 2 as well this year for a re-review, because I have not played that game since, I want to say, 2014. That's the year that comes to mind. So it's been a long while, and I've replayed Origins and Inquisition in the last year, so I just need to do this, right? A bad game that's on your favorite game list. See, the thing is I always struggle to answer these questions when I see them, but I put it in there anyway, because what happens is I think to myself, well, I like it, so it's good in my eyes. So it's hard for me to be like, well, this is bad, because I love Fallout 4. I know it's not as good as, say, Fallout 3 or New Vegas, but I love Fallout 4. But I have so many people who go, it's a fucking bad game, Matty. So I struggle on this one a little bit. But do you have an answer that comes to mind?
I mean,
I have mediocre games. I can name a list of mediocre games that
like
that have been
Elix.
reviewed.
He mentions Elix, and Elix had a jetpack, and that started the whole meme of me being easy on games with jetpacks because I loved Elix so much with a jetpack that like now in my Discord people will be like, Karak will love your game. Just put a jetpack in there. Just call it the Karak jet. Like it is true. It fucking changed the way the game played. It was awesome having so. I mean, Elix is probably there. Technomancer probably reviewed poorly, but I don't review it a numbered score, and you don't either. And I think that we may talk in a numbered score, but I think that that does adjust. You know, so we may think something's worth the money regardless of what a numbered score may be for it. For example, State of Decay 2. It had technical issues. Luckily, I didn't run into them. Day and date, it released in pretty poor shape. I actually liked it and still like it and like it even more because it got updated. But I would say that a lot of people would either be on the middling or bad for that game. And maybe not now, but
that's a good example,
when it came out. And I agree with you. It's hard to go past middling because I think if it's truly bad, it probably is truly bad for a reason. And most likely it's not fun to play.
Yeah, like even Dragon Age 2, that's not a
even Dragon Age
bad
2
game, right? Like that's a middling game, I think, for most. And so I think we can answer from that perspective. And for me, like a game that comes to mind is Batman Vengeance. This was, I remember looking it up. I played it in December again. It's a PS2 original Xbox game. And it is, it brings in, it's pretty cool. It brings in some of the animated series voice actors, like Mark Hamill's in it, Kevin Conroy's in it, which was pretty rare for games back then to have like their studded talent from the shows make an appearance fully in their games. And so I went back and replayed it, and it was shorter than I expected, but I really dug it because part of it was nostalgia, but the combat, the sound effects, but more than anything was the art style. The art style in that game is phenomenal. It takes the animated series and really brings it to life. There's a certain gloominess to that game that I really appreciate, but I looked online and that game was like 4s, 5s. It just, no one really liked it.
Okay.
And I thought, hey, this was pretty good in my opinion. So that would definitely be one of my picks. It's an old school pick, but one nonetheless. Shall we get into the news?
Yeah, because I can't think of any. Yeah. And this entire time, nothing's really come up in my head where I'm I know that
I think State of Decay 2 was good, though. That was a good point.
That's about where I think I would draw the limit. Once shit went from there, I wouldn't like it, probably.
Yeah. All right. Number one, really exciting stuff. With Xbox's Bethesda acquisition slated to go through without a hitch, well, that may actually change based off when I wrote this and what happened in between now and then. We'll talk about that in a little bit. On March 5th, rumors have started to ramp up on what we can expect when the deal is finalized. Jeff Grubb shared the following on his Games Beat podcast, quote, "I don't know if it will be a full direct style event, but they will make note about it and they will talk about it extensively, explain what it means for everybody, and talk about the immediate future of both companies becoming one." So yeah, expect that to happen sometime in mid-March, end quote, he said, before concluding that this is one of the milestones Xbox wants to hit prior to E3 2021. Following that up, notable industry insider Nate Drake posted on Reset Era that the plan as of a few months ago for Bethesda is to release Starfield at the end of 2021. It is possible that due to the pandemic, this game could get pushed out of this year, but this lines up perfectly with a newly teased event that could give us a glimpse into Bethesda Game Studios, the developers of Fallout and Elder Scrolls, first new IP in over 2 decades. Now, to add on to this, I don't have this written down, but to add on to this, it just broke yesterday/today as we record this video, Wednesday, February 24th, that Bethesda is being sued. They're in a lawsuit right now, and this revolves around Fallout 4's Season Pass. So for those who don't know, quick history lesson, Bethesda announced the Season Pass prior to the launch of Fallout 4. It was going to be $30. They said we're providing $40 worth of content, and they said that they didn't even know what they were going to put in it, but that whatever it was would be worth that money. And so that ended up being Automatron, Wasteland Workshop, as well as Far Harbor. And then in 2016, in February, they announced, hey, we're doing more DLC for this game, and we're expanding our Season Pass to now $50. So if you pay $50, you'll get Far Harbor and 2 other crappy settlement DLC that you probably don't care about at all. Point being, though, is that if you bought in to either Season Pass, they said all future DLC content will be available in the game. And then they eventually announced in 2017 Creation Club. So Creation Club, for those who are unaware, is a system that Bethesda runs where they invite popular modders in from the Bethesda community, and they pretty much curate their content. They help officially make it, whether it be new weapons, some of them having quests attached to them, some new locations, nothing super expansive, and they put them into the game and they sell them. Now, these prices more often than not are pretty egregious. They'll sell like dog meat skins for $5. Crazy, crazy prices like that. And so what happened was, now this lawsuit has arisen where they are saying that based off the EULA that is not present at all in Fallout 4, that it does not define where the DLC starts and ends, and that all Creation Club content should be included in the Season Pass. So if you are a Season Pass owner, then guess what? You should have all of Creation Club's content, which goes over $200+ of money that you could spend on it. And so now they're in a snag here because what's happening is they're putting pressure on Bethesda, and they're actually going to attempt this law firm that's going for Bethesda. And normally I don't give these types of, this person's getting sued. I don't give them oxygen because more times than not, it looks like someone who's bored, in my opinion. But this one does have a little bit of legs to it because they are aiming to maybe obstruct the deal between Microsoft and Bethesda if possible to obtain more information and to get a proper thing going for this. The reason for that is also because according to the article I read, also from VentureBeat, funny enough, Bethesda told this law firm that they were not in the process of any type of acquisition where they could leave a shell and not be pressured into paying back consumers. This is something they did similar to Human Head. Human Head was the developers of the original Prey 2, which got canceled and it looked awesome. It was like Star Wars Bounty Hunter, but in first person. It looked really, really good. Point being, though, is that that game got canceled, and then Bethesda bought that company, rebranded them, and a company back in October tried to sue them, saying that they stole company secrets, but they couldn't legally go after them because the original company they were going for no longer existed. Same thing is kind of happening here, where Bethesda is merging into Xbox, and if they do it quick enough, they can actually sidestep this entire lawsuit. So that's why they're attempting to obstruct it and see if they can press Bethesda further, which would lead to well over $1 billion of lawsuits. So with all of that, and then we'll get to the discussion, I just wanted to have one question in from a patron, Max Burke. Hey, Matty and Karak, with the Microsoft acquisition of Bethesda and E3 coming back all digitally this year, do you foresee Bethesda having their own press conference or getting rolled into Microsoft's press conference? Loving the show and have an average week. So, Karak, I've certainly talked enough laying out the groundwork here, from lawsuits to Starfield to conferences, and we're seeing some type of event go through here between Bethesda and Xbox. What do you just make of everything?
Well, so I don't know what Jeff Grubb, if Jeff Grubb is the name for a website or if that's a person.
That's a person.
Oh, okay. Sorry. So
No, you're good.
what
Sorry,
the reason why I
laugh.
mentioned it is because looking at the notes, that's not actually a leak. That's him saying, I don't know if it'll be full direct style. Also saying they're going to note it, but then talk about it extensively, which, by the way, you can't do. You either note it or you talk about it extensively. You don't do both. It's impossible. So what it sounds like to me is all he's saying, this is a person, all Jeff Grubb is saying is the same stuff a lot of people who don't know the plans are saying, which is that Microsoft will do something. Additionally, if people are expecting like an extensively, we're going to explain it to everybody, you're talking about a 5 to 6 hour event, not a 1 hour or even a 40-minute event. So I think that probably speaks to a person who knows some of knows the industry, but is speaking from a position of a lot of stuff won't need to be said because he knows the industry. If you try to explain it to even the middle ground gamers, it's going to take far longer than any event's ever gone in the history of anything, because there's multiple things that'll be going on. What they will do, and what we know any company would do, is an event of some kind to say, hey, here's what's coming in the future. Bethesda's big enough that they could do their own. I don't necessarily think they will. I think that, and this is what I've been saying, there's some stuff that I'm going to say is general knowledge right now, so that I don't see my name in a bunch of places. You'll know if you see my name in places, because there won't be me saying all this. But right now I want to say that the general business practice on two massive companies coming together, when that deal is completed, is to talk about it. So that is not a leak. That's not a rumor. That's nothing. That's what that's what happens in business. What form that takes, that's what people I think are questioning. and I don't want to talk about what that may be. I for various reasons, I will just say that some people know and don't know, and anything else to say? I know that this Nate Drake posted some stuff, and then somebody said something to him, and he was like, "No, I actually don't know anything. I just am guessing." And I think there's a very big reason why, because some of these big companies, man, they'll come after you. You know, so like you gotta watch what you're saying and how you say it, which might be what we're seeing here. But I think everybody can expect that two giant companies worth billions of dollars that finalize a deal will talk about it. They will. That's as far as I'll go with that. I'll leak other stuff, but that kind of stuff, man. I told you behind the scenes, so I won't say much, but these companies do go after and set people up with specific data that is incorrect or correct, and then they will track who knows what data. So how do I know that? I've been witness to it with companies. So there's some things I will and won't talk about. I think when it comes to Bethesda doing their own, though, why? They can, but I don't know if that makes a lot of sense, because it would make more sense to say, hey, the two biggest things are together now. You know, Microsoft's a huge company and we're a huge company. We're doing crazy things. I think you're absolutely right. We saw the Starfield Make a Character contest thing.
Yeah.
Yesterday, was that yesterday?
Yeah, yesterday.
So there's that, which I think is starting the ball rolling, which is awesome.
What's interesting about that, just to tack on, is I actually failed to mention that ends before June. That whole contest.
I know. Yeah.
So writing's on the wall with that one. I don't even think you need inside sources to tell that Starfield is going to get some type of reveal this year. I've heard that myself, but I don't think you need an inside source to just
a reveal this year is possible. A release this year, maybe we'll say probable. I'm still pulling back on that for various reasons, but I would love to be wrong. I think also creating an NPC, it depends on how detailed that NPC is, because if it's super detailed and in stories, then the game isn't coming out this year. There's a ton of shit that they would have to do. If it is, that kind of character that's like a salesman, a merchant, or a random merc, then who knows what we'll see. It's the thing is about your lawsuit thing. I will say that we've seen multiple lawsuits, including John Carmack was sued by when he left id to go to Facebook. They sued him for basically taking code and copying it, and it did not stop anything from happening. Normally, that's an injunction, just so people understand what that actually means. If you're trying to stop something, that would be an injunction, and I'm not 100% sure the timing is right, because I believe the timing for most of this stuff is already passed. So I don't see it stopping anything. If it did, it would be the biggest stoppage I think I've ever heard of in the history of business. And that's not said lightly. That means $2 billion companies are moving forward, and everybody, including nations, have stated it's okay. And some companies able to go in and say, you use the wrong word for DLC, stop everything. And both those companies have to cease everything. I just want to make sure people understand the scale of things. Yeah. The scale of that is so massive. Most likely, if it did come to that, both companies would try to work out a settlement to just be like, fuck it, we're on. We're moving on. So
Yeah, and I think they detect a weak spot in that, right? They know they're close. I think the timing of that's kind of funny. And so I just feel like, if anything, what you're probably going to end up seeing is this deal reach some type of settlement to the side, and I don't think it'll impact the Microsoft Bethesda deal at all. As for Max's question about the press conference and stuff, I agree with you entirely, because Bethesda has shown most years than not that they have a lot of talented studios, and the reason why E3 2015 was so glorious is because everything synced up. You had Dishonored 2, you had Fallout 4, pretty sure a new Evil Within was there. You just had a bunch of banger content lined up with big announcements. It was Bethesda's first thing, just everything synced up so it made sense, but that created an expectation. I think now Bethesda being a part of Xbox means that if they have something, if they have just one thing to show, that could be a major part of Xbox's show rather than the only thing Bethesda can show alongside Commander Keen and E3 2019 and all that bullshit that they were doing. So I think that'll be good for Bethesda and Xbox as a whole. So I think, in the future, you're definitely going to see E3. I don't think Bethesda's doing their own thing. I think they're gonna roll into whatever Xbox is doing. That makes the most sense to me personally, and I think it bolsters these shows that sometimes they lack in big reveals. And now you've got someone who owns a bunch of major Bethesda studios, and you could see that new IP that Harvey Smith from Arcane Studios said he's working on. Maybe you see that in Xbox conference. That's huge, and that's exciting.
Well, there's also Obsidian, and then there's In Exile. And I think that it depends on what Microsoft wants from their groups, because most Sony groups also don't show their own stuff. Most.
Yeah.
They'll do it at a state of play. And I think that's why some people get confused, is maybe they see a trailer and they're like, oh, but to me, a trailer isn't the same as an event. If you're doing an event, a lot of companies won't do those. They will wait for whatever the big announcement is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. As for this event in general, I don't know what your exact predictions are. I don't know if you want to make predictions. For me, my general prediction is it's not going to be this. I think event's a very strong word, and I predict more along the lines of blog posts alongside some type of video that goes live saying Xbox welcomes Bethesda, and it's one of those documentary style hype up, what Xbox is doing for Bethesda, how Xbox and Bethesda's relationship has formed over the years, that type of stuff. And I do genuinely believe they tease something with Starfield. Because what's happening here is, if you read the wording of Xbox Wire posts and Phil Spencer himself in interviews when asked about the Bethesda acquisition, there's one game that comes up every time, and that's Starfield. And I think that's not just coincidental, because let's be honest here, as much as I am looking forward to Starfield, the bigger get here is probably Elder Scrolls 6. That is monumental. Skyrim is still one of the most played Steam games because of its modding community. It's insanely popular. People still talk about it like it was yesterday. And so I just feel you don't talk about something without purpose. And so every time he brings up Starfield, I think this is a good opportunity for Xbox to have this new IP potentially in the fall. That's what we're seeing rumored, and what I think makes the most sense. And so I think you're seeing Xbox see this opportunity here to see something. And I don't think they just kind of let that slide without some type of preparation, because this isn't a Fallout or an Elder Scrolls. This is something that we don't know. So it needs longer marketing than what Todd normally likes to do. Todd Howard says all the time, yeah, as short as humanly possible. So announce in June, release in November. And while Starfield could be amazing, I don't want to say it can't work for that. That could be very exciting for a new IP. But I also feel like you need to have an idea of some kind, right? Right now, we saw this game announced in 2019 or 2018, sorry, and we have no clue what it is in 2021. We just know it is a sci-fi RPG of some kind. And there are little hints scattered throughout with like Todd talking to Elon Musk and whatnot. But in terms of actually what the game is, we really have no idea. So I feel like Xbox might want them to give people a clue, because they want to excite people, not just about the acquisition in general. I think just the prospect of it will be exciting for Xbox fans. But here's a thing, right? Here's a new thing at that. Not just something you've seen before, but it's exclusive to us, like a Wolfenstein. Maybe Wolfenstein 3 ends up being exclusive. But like, here is a new IP. You've never seen this before. You don't know what it is. And kind of make a good showing of it, like a gameplay teaser, 1 minute long, and say like, this is Starfield. We're going to talk about it more later this year. Expect it in 2021. I could definitely see something like that unfolding. He ponders.
Yeah. Yeah, there's if I say like, there's some stuff. I would say this is going to be people should be excited. Bethesda, Xbox, I don't think you'll be hearing everything's exclusive in the future from now on at this event or anything like that. It'd be more like, here's some stuff. I do feel, I'll just say, and take it as you will, I feel that people are focusing on the wrong thing. It's like a magician. And we'll have to see if I'm proven right, but I'll just say that I think people are focusing on something and they're like, wow, this is going to be great, and they're not seeing other things that, by the way, I'm still blown away every day. I've said this every day, and I'm going to continue until it gets popped. I'm still surprised we haven't seen some news on some stuff. And it's not too hard if somebody was paying attention to pick up on a couple things that are occurring in the industry. For example, the Bloodlines stuff. That was one of the 3 big things I was talking about happening, and it did pop. And I think a lot of us knew where that. I don't think I was the only one who sort of knew that something was going on there. But we do see some companies.
Sorry,
you did. Oh no, go ahead.
I did. I was just saying I didn't know that like substantial. That was a holy shit moment when I saw they moved developers.
Yeah.
You know, we saw that with Dead Island too, but it's not common. Where,
yeah, I don't know if that's on your list. But so that people understand, the reason why I consider that a big one and was talking about it and saying, watch out for something big. And when that got popped saying it was big is because that's not the same thing, guys, as a delay. That's moving and removing the developer who, by the way, if you go to the developer's webpage, they still have that game as their main webpage. There's a reason why all that's occurring. And it's not just in the stuff that's being announced. There's other stuff going on. You'll see other studios being announced to be possibly working on some games. And I think people should be excited, not just for the Bethesda Microsoft thing, but there's some other stuff out there that I think is still connected, whether it be RPG related and stuff. That's really cool. I'm sorry. You know what? See, this is the problem. I don't want to be vague. And when I am, it sucks to even talk. This is sort of like the swear jar. The moment the moment I start doing this, so I'll just say this is not the only thing to focus on. There's some great stuff happening, and this will be awesome when they do the event. I don't think anybody's right, by the way. I will say that. I don't think anybody's right on how they've stated the event will occur. Unless we talk about tangentially, there'll be an event. Mm-hmm. I think that a lot of people are missing some key stuff that might happen at a future event.
Yeah. I get what you mean.
I don't know.
No.
I
think
sucks.
if you're paying attention, you can kind of get what you mean.
Yes.
And
if you're paying attention to me, but if you're paying attention also to news and
that's what I meant.
And LinkedIn, and which you're good at. By the way, you've told me before. You'll be like, dude, somebody, or like a job post. You'll be like, somebody, blah blah blah, blah blah blah, and they're moving, blah blah blah, and it's like, what happens? Well, for example, when I was talking to my channel. Dragon Age Inquisition. If you want to know what I'm talking about, people, Dragon Age Inquisition, prior to that game really getting into big dev, they hired 2 MMO developers. And I was talking about this years prior to the podcast. I was like, dude, that's an indicator right there. Like, the indicator when your lead quest groups are these particular people. Like, you can look and go, that's where the future, at least minimally, where some of the future is going and where the focus might be. And what did we get? We got Dragon Age Inquisition Hinterlands.
There are so many examples of that. I think of Fallout 4, keeping on the Bethesda topic, I think of that where they hired a first-person shooting specialist from Bungie.
Right.
And their shooting was vastly improved compared to Fallout 3 and
you're just, right? You're like, this person isn't hired because their name is Bob. Like, that makes no fucking sense.
Hired for their talents.
They're hired for a specific thing. And I would say it's going to be a great couple months for sure. It's going to be very cool.
Yeah.
I still don't know about Starfield.
We'll talk about Starfield in a second. What I'm really hoping for is say that they're doing something with the Fallout IP. I just that is a shot in the dark, but man, that would be the icing on the cake if they said
we are talking about a single player, a proper successor. Correct?
Yes. Okay. I like 76 to some extent now. Do I sign into it all the time? No. Do I want to play it all the time? No. But I respect one thing about what Bethesda did, which is they stuck with it where other companies did not. And they will not see the bounce back of maybe a No Man's Sky, but that game has improved. Is it going to blow your socks off? Are you going to like it? Is that a guarantee? No. Same thing with No Man's Sky as well. But I do respect their ability to stick with it, even if they fucked over a lot of people. They had to stick with it, and I think it's easy to do what we're going to talk about with Anthem and just say, this isn't going to work out, even if they did try. But with Starfield, so I agree. It's a probable situation, right? The word on the street is the goal is 2021. That is the goal. But I could say my goal is to have 1 million subscribers by the end of the year. The goal is 2021. But obviously with work from home conditions, that can always get pushed back. And you kind of brought up a good point that I highlighted in my video, is these fallback statements happen pretty often where you could say any game's coming, but I hate to make light of it, but because we're in a pandemic, you could shoot any rumor out there, but say, oh, well, it may not happen this year because of the pandemic. Like, because every game can stand to get delayed, and we're going to see more delays, and that's continue to happen. We're seeing major shifts in game development as people continue to adjust, and we see projects bump back. Prince of Persia, Vampire Masquerade Bloodlines 2. We're going to see more.
Gran Turismo 7.
Gran Turismo, thank you. Yeah. So, and that was a significant one, and that got pushed really far back, if I remember correctly. So
there were a lot of people talking about that behind the scenes in the last 2 weeks, though.
Yeah.
Like that to me, in fact, I deleted a couple tweets that I was like, are we going to blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I'm just deleting this. Like, that's another thing is you don't want to affect anything. You don't want people to like focus on something. And when you see a Gran Turismo, which by the way, one of the best looking games every time they release on no matter what system, like you said, you can shoot anything down, and they got shot down in real life because of, they were having issues with getting workers and getting everything solidified due to the virus, which makes sense, and you will see a lot of it.
Yeah. So I don't want to say expect. I would say you're not wrong if you say I could expect Starfield this year. A lot of people, I will say, have not paid attention to the development cycle. That's a fact. The amount of people who have said
that's occurring.
Yeah, this is pre-pandemic stuff, mind you. The amount of people who just don't know what they're talking about, and I'm not saying it as a fucking know-it-all, just people will be like, 76 just came out 3 years ago. I'm like, okay, so let's take a look at Bethesda Game Studios as a whole, where Oblivion came out in 06, Fallout 3 came out in 08. There's that there, but it's like, okay, development's changed.
I don't know why people would bring up 76 even connected to this technically.
Yeah. Like Skyrim in 2011, Fallout 4 in 2015, and then 76 in 2018. If you're not paying attention to what I just said there, there's only been a maximum of 4 years. They are a creature of habit. 3 to 4 years is their dev cycle. Guess when Starfield started active development? Todd Howard said it himself. Fucking August of 2016. He said, we finished Fallout 4's DLC, and we moved on to active development with that game. Not pre-planning. He said we pre-planned for like 3-4 years, and then we moved into active development. So since 2016, this year would absolutely line up with that. But the pandemic can complicate things. And also, look, let's not be foolish here. A lot of companies are doing this. You see Cyberpunk, no one wants that. No one wants that. That's a lot of money lost. That's a lot of credibility lost. That destroys your company. It's irreparable damage in a lot of ways, not just financially speaking. So yeah, Bethesda very well may take the safe route after 76. They know all eyes are on them when that game gets revealed, and that it can't just look like another buggy Bethesda game. It's got to have some polish to it. So you're not wrong for expecting it in this year, because their general development cycle suggests this would be the year that they do it, because the pandemic pushed them back a little bit. 2020 probably would have been the year if there wasn't an adjustment with all of that. So just some extra information there on Starfield. I personally believe it is coming this year. Sources aside, rumors aside, I feel like it just makes the most sense. And for Fallout 76, that wasn't even predominantly Bethesda Game Studios Maryland's project. That was Austin.
Right.
Austin worked on that. And don't get me wrong, Todd Howard was there, helped market it. There were many members of BGS Maryland who helped on it, just like any other game. Bethesda will pull in developers from external studios. Arcane even helped on Fallout 76. Like, everyone comes together on this. Machine Games are the people who helped rework Fallout 4 shooting. So this happens all the time. But point being is that the primary developer, the most talent on the project 76, was Austin Studio, was not Maryland. So with all of that, I mean, that's why I'm excited for Starfield too. No disrespect to BGS Austin, or if anyone's ever from that studio listening, but Maryland's got some top tier talent, man. They've all worked together for over a decade, and they made some incredible games with just 100 people. So I'm very excited to see what they do next, and I do think it's coming this year, and hopefully we do get some answers on what's happening in just a couple of weeks. All right, great chat there. Let's move into number 2. Still got a lot more to work through. Days Gone, the Freaker Slain PS4 exclusive from Ben Studio that released in April of 2019, is being brought to PC. This follows Horizon Zero Dawn, which Sony released to PC players in 2020. In an interview with Jim Ryan, he kept things surprisingly simple. Quote, "There's an opportunity to expose those great games to a wider audience and recognize the economics of game development, which is not always straightforward. The cost of making games goes up with each cycle as the caliber of IP is improved. Also, our ease of making it available to non-console owners has grown. So it's a fairly straightforward decision to make," he said. Continuing on, quote, "PC players liked it and they bought it. There was no massive adverse reaction from PlayStation players," end quote. Days Gone arrives on PC spring of 2021. You may wonder why we're talking about PlayStation And it's because we're not only just Xbox, we're PC. So this does absolutely connect. And then we have Isabella Hope writes in, great name, by the way. And while this isn't topical for Days Gone, it kind of will drive the conversation, I feel. Howdy, gentlemen. I'm not caught up on Defining Duke, so I apologize if a similar question has been asked before. We have all been speculating about the effects that supply constraints will have on Xbox and PlayStation's success this generation, but I believe that we are overlooking something. Doesn't the challenge of acquiring a Series X or PS5 make the PC space much more appealing to hardcore gamers? Not only are PCs easier to get right now, but if you already have one, you can turn it into a next-gen gaming machine by just replacing a few parts. Now, do know some great graphics cards are tough to find now, but could we see a massive migration of console gamers to PC over the next years? With love, Bella. Thank you for writing in, Bella. So I just thought this was a good point to make with now we're seeing another PlayStation exclusive make its way to PC. And while Jim Ryan did a little bit of PR speak, it was pretty clear. He said, hey, these games are on our systems for multiple years. We see the sales slow down and we move them over to PC because it's easy and we make a fuck ton of money. So PC players keep winning. They kind of get the best of both worlds right in the middle. Are you interested in this at all? I know you played Horizon Zero Dawn on PC, and I don't think that was encouraging.
This is one of the things I was talking about. Like
You've got your sources. God damn.
For specific things on that overlap on PC. Yeah. And like, it was not that, I mean, dude, I did a podcast where almost all we talked about was PlayStation games on PC. Like, and I couldn't have been more hinty ever in a podcast, but I'm like, dude, like, it does make no sense at all. It will happen. And people are like, it'll never happen, man. They love only. It's like, dude, you just don't get it. You don't. And then Horizon came out. And there were rumors from other devs who were like, we're starting to see a lot of hints that being PC is going to be okay in the future. Nobody listens. Just read some of what some of the PlayStation, even the big PlayStation devs, what somebody will randomly say about a PC. Like little things like, man, I wish we could be on PC or whatever. It's like, dude, think about it. Like, it's not brand new. It's not like this stuff just, I mean, dude, there was already a Steam page for the fucking game. They were like, yeah, Days Gone is coming, and the Steam page went live like an hour later. It wasn't like somebody just magically made all that shit up. So I think you should be expecting the PC to get more of these games. I think that they will go through their catalog, and it may not be always the games you expect. One of the things I was talking about is you have to understand is that they could do Spider-Man, they could just roll it out, right? Just be like, Spider-Man's coming a year later, blah, blah, blah. And as he stated, there's no real pushback from PlayStation fans. There is socially, but online, how are you going to push back? Can you ask for a return?
Not buy it, I guess.
But how could you not buy it a year after it comes out with no warning it will come out on the PC?
Mm-hmm.
That's Jim Ryan using PR speak. It's, by the way, it is actually factually impossible to have any kind of pushback. It's unless you say Twitter is pushback, which it's not. Twitter is notoriously bad at pushback. They pretend to be, and then they fade out. So all this stuff, continue to expect cool titles. I think you should expect some titles that aren't necessarily the Spider-Mans of the world. And I think that's actually more exciting because there's been a lot of titles that are sort of sitting there where you're like, hey, man, no one's buying this, right? This is what I said almost a year and a half ago when I was telling people Horizon was coming to the PC and nobody believed me. I'm like, dude, you're dumb. They're not making money anymore on it. And if they are, it's on sales and blah, blah, blah. So it's normal day-to-day sales. People already picked it up, right? Mm-hmm. And the idea of releasing it on a new system, in this course, the PC is super high. You'll see more of it. Right now, Sony is probably looking at Microsoft too and saying, listen, they're treating the Xbox as the low common denominator price to get into the ecosystem. And then the high one is your $1,500 PC with your great graphics card, which, by the way, you can't always get now because of graphics card reductions. And Sony's not dumb. They're not fucking dumb. Yeah. That's money to be made. They're looking at it going like, why can't we do that? You can do that. You can, because whenever anybody tries to argue a $500 console versus a $1,500 PC, I just want to push them down a flight of steps. It makes no fucking sense. There's a $1,000 delta, and to normal consumers, $1,000 is more than their mortgage. That is a actual difference in your platform at that point. And I just don't see Sony slowing down anytime soon.
I think it just boils down to people get really hurt when they see them bringing their exclusive games to new consoles. And I mean, with Xbox, it's part of the DNA, but with PlayStation, it's such a new thing. And, you know, they're doing it very particularly, like they're doing a Horizon, then they're doing Days Gone. And these games, it's weird. They're within the ecosystem of PlayStation-owned studios, but they're the games that I look at and go, this isn't an Uncharted on PC, right?
I would say Horizon might be close.
Yeah, it's close, but it's because it's Guerrilla Games.
It's not Uncharted.
But yeah, it's not Uncharted. So that's the thing. I struggle to imagine, but it would be crazy if they said Last of Us on PC. That would be insane. But at the end of the I could see it. I could see it, but at the same time, I struggle to think of it. I think of what I get more excited about is the idea of a concrete genie. You know, I think something
exactly
like
that's
that.
what I was telling people last night. Same game, by the way. I mentioned that to a PR person yesterday. I was like, dude, Concrete Genie on WMR, high-res high-res headset, Concrete Genie, cranked up graphics. You bet your ass it doesn't matter what they got paid. Those developers are saying, can we please? Resident Evil 7 VR finally coming to PC. You can bet people want that regardless.
Yes. Oh my God.
There are some things being held back that it just doesn't make sense anymore. And Sony's making the first steps.
Good for them, man. I think it's great. I think it benefits the middle ground, which is a core of our show, which is PC. You know, we have a whole segment dedicated to PC stuff. And so this is great news. And I'm personally not big on Days Gone. You know, granted, we played it pre-patch where it was pretty buggy and broken. But even then, a lot of my issues, if people want to double check me, you can go watch my review. For me, a lot of it was the story was not interesting or good. It was kind of just scattered, and it was also the gameplay could be solid, but it didn't offer me anything that really grabbed me. So I'm happy for people who get to give this a shot. It seems to be a hidden gem for many folks, and it sold way better than I think it really was ever anticipated to. So they're cashing in on it, and I look forward to seeing more of this franchise. So more eyes on it is great in my book. All right, so this show has been loaded with speculation. Why not continue it with number 3? Xbox is steadily earning a reputation for hiding announcements or products in the making in plain sight. From the Xbox Series S being in Phil Spencer's background during interviews, to t-shirts he has worn, and even the newly announced Xbox headphones being used in promotional material prior to its reveal, fans are speculating if they're up to these antics once again. As we stated in last week's show, Phil Spencer made an appearance on Microsoft's AI and Gaming Summit, and in the background, viewers can clearly see an Xbox logo with a looted statue intentionally placed directly next to it. Currently, PlayStation does not own Kojima Productions and only teamed up with them to get Death Stranding out on a console exclusivity capacity. The game is available on PC. It's not out of the realm of possibility that it could come to Xbox, considering the game dropped in November of 2019. Feeding into speculation, just a little more here, and this really won't be the majority of our conversation, I swear. Gamers couldn't help but notice an undocked Switch propped up for showing on the top shelf. Make of that what you will, but I feel crazy for suggesting Game Pass on Switch through that, but I mean, that shit did not have a dock. It was just up there, and all I'm saying is Phil knows what he's doing. I think, though, that the Xbox logo with Ludin statue, that seemed more intentional. It was there. The statue was out of place, moved next to it. He knew people were going to look at that and say something. I made a joke that they were acquiring Kojima Productions. A lot of people took it seriously. My mentions were absolutely disgusting. But with this, Karak, do you see a little Death Stranding on Xbox in our future here? If at all.
A game that I have no desire to ever talk about or see or play again. I will say I don't track any rumors or anything like that. I think it's probably pretty likely.
Yeah.
I also feel that Kojima may not be owned by Sony, the productions, but he is a artiste, and Sony is known more even with Ori and all these other games, Sony is just considered the artiste company. They just are. There's no real way around it.
It's hard to describe too.
Yeah, so the idea that they work together to be a console exclusive for a while makes sense. I don't know if Kojima would say forever, though, because putting it on Xbox, definitely would help him. But I will say this. If it comes to Xbox, expect it on Game Pass.
Yeah, that would be probably the smartest thing, because that game did not do super well. And I feel like the Game Pass cash just probably helps Kojima Productions out a little bit. Not that they're struggling, but it's probably much appreciated. And I think it gets more people to give it a chance. I haven't played it. It looked so uninteresting to me. I couldn't even begin to describe it. Not because
it's probably good. It's just a slow start. And after a while, you're like, whatever.
Yeah,
and you either like it or don't.
Yeah, and I like Zen games. Don't get me wrong, man. And
yeah, me too.
I just, there's something about the back and forth open world treks that sounds tedious. And so for me, Game Pass would be perfect. I don't want to spend my money on this, even with it on a sale.
I think people miss the one big thing, though, Matty. There's a big hint that you can see if you're watching Phil Spencer on that video. It's absolutely there. And that's the fact that he's wearing a vest, so it's obviously a Back to the Future game. Because he's wearing a vest. I think that's for sure what's happening. He had a shade in his window. It was
Xbox teaming up with Patagonia. Because I think he had Patagonia.
No, he had a shade in his window, meaning he was throwing shade at people. And if you look, there's a picture in the background that shows like a peninsula and some water. So I'm assuming the next big exclusive is a real estate game.
No, the best one I saw, someone asked me if the picture in the background was Elder Scrolls 6 and if that's actually coming sooner than we think. I was like, bro, come on.
Yeah, dude. Not only that, but Phil's smart. You know what he's going to start doing? Putting things in a row where one that's missing is what matters. Phil's not a dumbass. He absolutely will do that. So you'll be like looking at stuff going, oh, it's this, this, and this, but it'll be the one thing that's not in the picture that will actually matter. I guarantee he'll have to, by the way, because you can't always leak stuff, because then anybody who's run anything like that, it's almost like clickbaity, right? If you're always making sure there's something in there, then it can actually really, really backfire. People will be like, you're just fucking, all you're doing is trying to hype it up, blah, blah, blah. So I would assume Phil knows that as well. Yeah, and we'll slow it down a little bit too. Like there'll be one where there's nothing in the background. That'll legit blow people's minds.
I would love if Phil, a clean shot. I would nothing,
dude, nothing. And then people will be like, Game Pass is going away for sure.
Yeah.
That'd be amazing.
Rumor has it Phil Spencer has sold his entire house for a bag of peanuts. Yeah. Number 4, one of the major questions with Xbox's Game Pass program has been how this service manages to be profitable and if developers putting their games on it so soon after launch even have benefited from it. Anna Downing, Senior VP of Commercial Publishing at Sega Europe, sat down with Eurogamer to discuss Xbox Game Pass, which offers a glimpse into the impact the service is having on their products at the very least. Anna stated, quote, we're really happy with the results, end quote, and added that Microsoft wanted, quote, quality titles, end quote. More noteworthy, however, is she stated that adding 2 Point Hospital to the service helped push the franchise over 3 million players. No joke there. So we know ever since the Bethesda acquisition and a little bit afterwards, Game Pass currently has 18 million members. So pushing that franchise, which I've actually never played 2 Point Hospital, but pushing that to a new limit is impressive, because that's certainly not the most popular game Game Pass hosts. And so when you look at a service that has Destiny and all these other EA games and like sports games and fighting games and all that, and 2 Point Hospital has pushed over 3 million players in total. I imagine it's not just thanks to Game Pass. They didn't specify, but that's just my assumption. That's impressive, man. And so we don't know the financial of this, but certainly companies see a benefit in it, and Sega's offering us a good look at that. I would love to know how Yakuza's doing on Game Pass, because
yeah, no shit, right?
I feel like that would make for a, well, what about Persona if it's doing well? You know, that's where I sit on it, because I'm still a staunch believer in the idea that it won't make suddenly Persona games exclusive on Xbox, but I do think Xbox is going to try to remove Persona exclusivity. I do think that's going to be something they go for, paying Sega to get those games on their platform day and date, like they kind of did with Yakuza. The next gen upgrade ahead of PS5 was kind of weird. especially in the launch window. I felt like there were so many other games dropping. It just didn't, I don't know, it felt like a reach. But I do have to say, it's good to see success through Game Pass. Anything you want to add on?
There's not been a single developer I've talked to, not a single one. There's been nobody in the industry who knows what they're talking about that I've talked to who has not stated that Game Pass has not elevated their game.
Yeah.
In massive ways. Right. The thing is everybody's like, I want to know exactly how it does this and does that. Great. You can demand that from any company. They don't have to supply it at all. Yeah. A lot of people are accustomed to just being able to demand whatever they want and getting it. Microsoft doesn't have to do that. Microsoft has been fairly cagey. Some companies have stated they had a one-time sign bonus kind of thing. Others have stated that, they get paid per the download. I think it's different depending on the type of game. I think Yakuza was interesting, though, because you and I both... Yakuza being on Xbox was a huge deal, but it wasn't made out to be a huge deal. And the difference between Microsoft and Sony, that's when I notice it. I notice it where Sony will crow from the top of every rooftop that something is exclusive, and Microsoft doesn't do as well, and they should. They don't do as well. That should have been a big deal, and it wasn't. And that's the one place where I see Microsoft as having a pretty big Achilles heel, which is they're stating, they're stating just harshly that this is a big deal, and they just don't, man. And I don't know why. Maybe they've gotten so accustomed to it all doing so well that they're like, Sega can do what they want and they can talk about it. It's theirs, so they can do the PR. I don't know. Maybe there's a different deal there, but I was really surprised that wasn't a huge deal. And if Persona comes out, I would want them to say, for the first time on Xbox, and make a big deal for a couple weeks or months about it. But it just, that doesn't feel like Microsoft, man. And I'm not lying. Go check Microsoft's PR for stuff. It's not really, it's different. It's different. It's not as
things just happen.
Explosive.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then they move on to the next. It's a workman-like attitude, I guess, of tomorrow's another day, regardless of what deal we make. In fact, by the way, like the Bethesda thing. So they announced a big deal, right? They're like, we bought it. And then you see the occasional, hey, as we roll towards it being assigned and stuff. But you would think if another big company bought Bethesda, it would be weekly. Weekly, they'd be like, guess what could happen? And Microsoft doesn't do that, which might be a holdover from their other companies.
I think the real telling thing for that will be how they handle it post-acquisition, how much they make noise about it. But yeah, it's definitely...
But I mean, when is post-acquisition? When is the date? Because it's already been authorized by every nation.
Or latest, sorry.
So, latest, okay. So...
It could be within the next couple of days from what I've seen from images going around of the deal itself.
Yeah.
And by the way, this is public information. I should make that clear. But so I feel like that could even come sooner. But yeah, Game Pass is doing well.
Let's hope it does.
And that's the thing that's a trend with this show is I'll find news that I go, why did I not see this in the cycle at all?
It happens.
Every fucking week, man. That's not even Xbox apologies either. It's not us being apologists for them. It's just it happens a lot. And there's an item on this section I'll indicate when we get there where I saw and went, wow, I'm surprised this didn't make any rounds.
Right.
Number 5, this is not it. Anthem Next has been canceled. BioWare says they, quote, need to laser focus their efforts as a studio to strengthen the next Dragon Age and Mass Effect titles while continuing to provide quality updates to Star Wars The Old Republic, end quote. BioWare did say they will be keeping Anthem's servers live. So BioWare had originally had been leaked, rather, that they were going to showcase Anthem Next to EA a couple of weeks ago, and they were going to decide the future of that game. That was reported by Jason Schreier of Bloomberg. I was on the side of the fence saying that I respect them trying, but I felt like with the way they kind of abandoned the game, they didn't do any short-term updates really whatsoever that added to it. And so I didn't think there was enough there. And a lot of people like to scapegoat EA. I was telling Karak this. A lot of people like to scapegoat EA. But at the end of the day, man, they gave them 6-7 years before this thing even got announced. They gave them a lot of fucking time. So I don't think EA is to blame for this. I'm sorry. BioWare mismanaged this project, and I think that's one of the big reasons I found myself advocating for we should just leave this one behind. They fucked up. And just like with Mass Effect Andromeda, ice it and walk away. There's Mass Effect and Dragon Age, which I think are much more important to their future as a company and what will bring them to a new level and hopefully earn them respect back, is fixing what they did wrong to Mass Effect, getting Legendary Edition right, the next entry, making sure that's not in Andromeda. Dragon Age, a lot of people love that Inquisition, but I think it's a very flawed game. Making that as squeaky clean as possible. Going back to what made BioWare. Hopeful, wishful thinking, absolutely. But I do think this is for the best. Karak, what about you?
Yeah, no, I agree. My face was for Dragon Age Inquisition,
Oh.
the Hinterlands.
I thought it was because of what I said. I was like,
my
damn,
kids,
he's feeling some
if
type
I
of
have
way.
kids and they grow up to talk, the first words will be like, leave the Hinterlands. It's the shit's stuck in my DNA. What a ridiculous. And I get it. Somebody's going to be like, I like the Hinterlands. It's true. But if you look online, some people like to get kicked in the nuts. It doesn't necessarily mean for the most part it's
Reminds me of
pleasurable.
a video I saw online of like these kung fu masters that were like, huh, and they
Yes!
were getting just kicked between
They
them.
just I'm like, rolled
what?
in the nuts,
How?
right?
Holy shit, man. I do martial arts, and I got kicked in the stomach one time and I had to take a knee because he got hit under my diaphragm and just knocked the wind out of me. And
Oh, yeah.
And I'm just like, these guys are taking
There's
kicks
a reason why
between the legs.
UFC fighters stop entire fights when they get kicked in the nuts too.
Yeah.
What those guys are doing, just so you know, is there's a trick where you arch your leg and you hit the taint.
That shit still fucking hurts though.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, no. That is one thing. People will see that and be like,
Holy
oh, it's a
fuck.
trick. And it's like, well, you got to understand, it still rustles your jimmies.
Yeah.
You're still going to have the stomach ache, right? But a lot, some people are just better at that than others. I remember my friend, to go off on a tangent, my friend JD, super good friend of mine, we were running around and one time he was chasing me and I don't even remember what I was trying to do. I think he was chasing me with a stick to hit me because that's what young kids did in my area. And I turned around and I fucking snap kick right in the nuts, right? And I expect him to go down because everybody else goes down. Not JD, dude. He literally stopped for a second with the stick, and I think he powered up like a Dragon Ball character because I hit him, and I remember his little brother, Buddy, was like, bad idea. And he's like, yeah, and he chased me even harder, and I was like, what the fuck? What's happening? Like, it didn't
stop.
It wasn't the normal shit that you expect. So, yeah, some people can ignore that. But what were we even talking about?
Wait, no, that reminds me. Hold on, because I got my own story now.
Okay.
Because when I was in 8th grade, there was just this phenomenon of people hitting each other in the nuts. Like, it was terrible. So
Snap?
especially in gym class,
Snap kind of thing?
like fist,
Oh,
kick,
gotcha. Yeah.
just really painful stuff. And so I remember, like, dude, changing for gym class was the most terrifying thing of my every other day lifestyle.
You got to protect yourself.
Dude, like, everyone would be talking to each other in the locker room. We'd be covering ourselves while talking because no one wanted to get hit. And so you didn't want to turn your back. I would change in the other room, man. I was terrified of getting hit. I did not want that lifestyle. Dude, it was vicious, man. It was tough. It was tough.
And it doesn't matter how much of a man you are, dude. I've seen, obviously UFC fighters who their lives are grueling 12-hour days. And I've done it, 6-hour workouts before. It's grueling. I will tell you, I'd rather do 6 hours than have somebody full speed kick me in the balls. Dude, it goes up here and it rolls around in your stomach for a while. People don't realize it feels like a roller coaster of pain is in there because it never sits in one place. Like if I cut my finger, I can look at my finger and go, I cut my finger and sort of ignore it, even though I know it's, I've broken my hand. I'm like, okay, that hurts, but I know it. You get kicked in the balls and weird stuff starts happening. Like your brain is like, it makes me want to throw up and it hurts. It aches, but it's sharp, which by the way, the human brain after a little while is like a D&D character. If you yell a bunch of shit to them, they get confused. And that's what your brain does after a good ball kick is it's like, fuck, what?
You're not
like,
wrong,
what?
man.
What just happened? It's raw, man. It's raw.
Yeah.
People, my wife was telling me that women feel the same thing if their ovaries get jostled, which takes a harder hit, but you can still do a ton of like stomach, like sick stomach and stuff. And she slipped, she hit the brakes on her bike and slipped off the banana bike onto the crotch of a seat or onto the crotch of a bike, the bar. And she said it did the thing where it was up here and down, where your entire stomach is somehow collapsed into a small ball of what the fuck. Good times.
I think it speaks to
Anyway,
Anthem,
what were we
right?
talking
It's like BioWare kicked
Anthem.
everyone in the balls in 2019, and
Yeah.
that was it. Or was
I'm
it
glad that
2019?
they got to show it. It sounds
know
like
when
they
it came
did get
out.
to show it. Most likely, the company looked and said it's not a big enough change, or it's too big of a change, one or the other. It's really hard to hit when you've had that many issues. I was telling you prior to the podcast, I was excited that they mentioned SWTOR or KOTOR Online, whatever the fuck we call it now, because I'm a huge fan of that. So anything they mention along the lines of that is exciting as well.
I know it would be very tough because that's very much the definition of like a hot bar combat system.
I know what you're going to say.
Yeah, a console release. That game needs a relaunch of some kind. It's so good.
Me and Matty think the same thing, guys, because in my Discord day before yesterday, we spent 2 hours discussing how to hold a sidebar and what buttons would do what in KOTOR. So we spent hours online, and we were like, if you hold left, you have A, B, X, and Y. That's 4. If you hold up, A, B, X, and Y. And we were counting because Cadiz was playing it, and we were looking, going, okay, so you could handle these 4, these 4, these 4.
Dude.
And then one of the things I said when we got it all said and done, I was like, that'd be confusing. And then it dawned on me, a number of my friends play Elite Dangerous on a console with a controller.
Yeah, there you go.
Which is gnarly.
Dude. My girlfriend and I have been looking into MMOs to play together, and we're settling on ESO. But if Star Wars, because she only has a PS4, if the Old Republic was on console, I'd be like, babe, drop fucking everything. Yep. We're getting on the game now.
And that's not including that they could just say, we've decided to have the keyboard work on this game, because they can do that as well.
Yeah. Fingers crossed. Number 6, still got a little bit more to work through. Games with Gold continues to be downright horrendous and showcases the overlap with Game Pass is harming the program, but it is also, Skill Up said this, I want to give him credit, the best marketing for Game Pass as well. March's Games with Gold are Warface Breakout, which is available March 1st to the 31st. Vicious Attack Llama Apocalypse, which is available March 16th to April 15th. Metal Slug 3, available March 1st to the 15th. And Port Royale 3, available March 16th to the 31st. Do we need to talk more about this? Can we move on?
Yeah, we can move on.
Number 7. Via SK Telecom Publishing, this is one of the cool things I was talking about that no one's talking about. 3 games from Korea will be making their way to Game Pass in 2021. Their first project is Project VR. It is a game that supports, quote, real-time multiplayer in top-down shooting action genre and progresses through stages in cooperation with multiple players through a roguelike method, end quote. By the way, this is Google translated. This was on a Korean page, so if some of the English sounds a little bit off, that's why. Next is Vapor World Over the Mind, and it is, quote, a 2D platformer action-adventure game containing a story of healing the twisted mind of a trauma-sickened mental patient with 2D Metroidvania and Souls-like elements, end quote. Lastly, Little Witch in the Woods, which is, as the site defines, quote, a healing adventure, end quote, where you become an apprentice named Ellie and experience various stories. So vague on details on that one. This game looks awesome, by the way. I think it looks especially the Vapor World one, the 2D platformer, beautiful. Mm-hmm. Absolutely beautiful. So this is exciting, I thought, but no one's talking about it.
Remember when Microsoft announced that one big shooter was coming, the Korean shooter?
Oh, Crossfire, right?
Right. Oh, I was right. Okay, it was Crossfire. Okay, so anyway, Microsoft is obviously plumbing the depths of other nations' stuff to introduce to us, just like, you'll see the American title do well in another nation. It'll happen. I actually think this is pretty cool because everybody thinks of, like, let's say Korea, or they might think of China as being just MMOs, just the shit MMOs that are trying to microtransaction you to death because that's what you're accustomed to on an Android. But if you think that artistic people don't live there and don't want to make amazing things, you're stupid. Like, they do. And so these kind of things being announced are awesome, and they should get, and I'll look at these because maybe I'll do a video, but these should be announced because, and I did the same thing with Crossfire. I'm like, I'm sorry, what? Like, what game is this? I've never even heard of it. But me having not heard of it in no way, shape, or form takes away the artistry or the pageantry of a company's making a game. That's just me not having heard of it. In fact, at that point, I have now heard of it, and it's technically my due diligence that I should go and check it out. And that's, so stuff like this being not announced, my hope is that over time, people start looking more and more at these. Because there are some amazing games. And I've occasionally accidentally gone to like a Japanese website for games where I'll look up a game, type it in wrong, like Sky Destiny, and it's like Destiny Sky, and it's some ripoff game. But you look at it sometimes, you're like, damn, this looks sort of sweet. But I can't understand it because it's not, it's not translated. So any more of these, I'm really excited for. I hope they continue to do it. I think it's awesome.
Yeah, props to Xbox for doing this. This I don't believe is on an exclusive capacity, but the fact that it's going to be in Game Pass showcases, I think, the value of the exposure we were talking about earlier. I think that's a pretty clear indicator. If anything, this will put the game on some people's maps, and more should be talking about it. Number 8. Full credit to Clobril for this series of discoveries. You can follow him over on Twitter, but it suggests that Avalanche Studios will be working with Xbox game publishing on something. Now, while it's not a guaranteed exclusive, it could end up going that way. It's worth talking about, I felt. A job listing states that Avalanche Studios is looking for a, quote, Xbox specialist / system programmer to work on an unannounced title being developed in Stockholm, end quote. This position exists for their Liverpool and Stockholm studios. When sifting through other positions for the Avalanche Stockholm studio, Clobril discovered that they were working on a, quote, unannounced open-world AAA multiplayer game, end quote. It all comes full circle when surfacing a discovery from November 2020 on a LinkedIn profile from a narrative director over at Xbox. And it just said, by the way, I checked the profile, Xbox. The posting of the profile reads, as narrative director on the Xbox Game Studios publishing team, oversee all narrative-related elements for multiple Xbox first-party franchises, most recently the critically acclaimed Microsoft Flight Simulator and an exciting new AAA open-world title yet to be announced. Curiously, the latter part of that has now been augmented and plainly says other exciting new AAA titles yet to be announced. So this does look like a connection has been established, but it still is speculative. Kalijah Smith writes in, hey, Matty and Karak, wanted to ask for your thoughts on what you think of Xbox Game Studios publishing team has up their sleeves. Clobril, known for leaking Xbox acquiring Obsidian, mentioned that back in November, a AAA open world game is being made by Xbox Game Studios Publishing, meaning not internal studios, but someone else. And with a leak today showing that Avalanche Sweden Studio is asking for someone to fill the role that specializes in Xbox, Avalanche might be the ones that make this game. What are your thoughts? I'm not a big Avalanche guy. I like their work on Rage 2. They were co-developers, or they were the main developers, I believe, of Rage 2, next to id. I like their work on that, but otherwise, like Just Cause and all that stuff, never really synced up with me. I always find them an elusive studio. They'll be making a game, and I go, wait, what? They did that? Like, I think they did a Disney game of some kind at some point. So I'm a little spaced on them, but interesting connections. Pardon me. Nonetheless, what do you think of Avalanche potentially working on a AAA open world multiplayer game?
They make two of my favorite games of all times, which is Mad Max, and they make Hunter, Call of the Wild, which is the hunting game I'm always talking about going and doing, which has some of the best graphics ever, and that was from 2009, and it looks better than 99% of games right now. It's ridiculous how good that game looks. And the idea of them doing an open world game, one thing to remember about this company is they're the ones who did Superman, which got canceled. 2014, I think, was when they were working. Corey Balrog worked for one of them prior to going back and working on God of War. And they also did and got canceled a game called Aeon something. And you'll have to go back and look. It was canceled, but it was a plan to do a samurai / Japanese / Star Wars open world multiplayer game.
That sounds
and
awesome.
It was worked on for quite a while and then was put on, eternal hiatus. I could certainly see a company being like, we want one of those, if something's cool is there. I think Just Cause 4, Just Cause was awesome at a time. And what it's doing now isn't as crazy because a lot of games have destruction, so it's hard to out-destruct when a lot of games are starting to do that. So I don't think it would be something like that. I would agree with you that they're not necessarily... So you have Rage, you've got, again, Mad Max, one of my favorite games. You have Hunter Call of the Wild, but they're not really known for anything of their own other than Just Cause. So it's hard to know exactly what you'll get from them. I will say that graphically, though, ignoring 4 had some issues, but graphically, they always pretty much deliver. Like, I didn't have any issues with Rage. Well, Rage had a couple issues graphically, but overall it didn't. And remember, they were only handling the driving sections. I would be excited for it. I just don't know. I don't really like open world multiplayer as the description, to be honest. Yeah.
If it was open worlds... And just that I'm kind of not burnt on open world games, but I can't play them as frequently as I did. Not even because of time. I just sometimes don't have the interest. And so, yeah, seeing multiplayer there, unless they mean co-op, then that's one thing.
That's exactly what I was going to say. But then I look at even their own Xbox listings for Halo, and they state very clearly that there's single player, co-op, and multiplayer. Like, I think that you'd probably see a clarity there to say it's a co-op game. Like Outriders states co-op. So I don't know.
True. Good point.
I'm excited for it, though, because
sorry.
I love them technically. I was just going to say I'm excited because I think technically they're actually incredibly proficient most of the time. And so at the very least, I want to see what they can deliver in that.
I agree. I actually forgot entirely about Mad Max. That's a good one to bring up.
Yeah, even though you didn't love it, I wouldn't think most people had an issue with like.
It has a charm, yeah.
It has a charm.
Yeah. Because if you like Arkham Knight or any of the Arkham games with that combat, and you kind of want one where a guy will break your elbow or do a neck breaker. I mean, to me, that was the best part of that game, was just the brutality of that.
Yeah, the visceral combat. It went way beyond a Batman game because, of course, he could kill people. But, like, when you'd roll the shotgun up under somebody or shiv them 6 times, you were like, whoa, that's way past what most of these games show. So, yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah, it'll be fun to see.
Number 9. Operation 6 is coming to Gears of War. Normally, I don't think I would add this to the list, but a lot of people thought this was a Gears of War 2 remaster, so I just want to make it very clear what's happening, because Gears of War's Twitter account posted a picture of someone holding the dog tags, kind of like the cover art for Gears of War 2, where Marcus was doing that. But what this operation does is adds Colonel Victor Hoffman, Queen Reyna, and Locust Zealot as playable characters in the Gears of War 5 multiplayer alongside a new map named Spire. So not the Gears of War 2 remaster. Not sure why people expected that, but just wanted to clarify that. That's all of our news. It's time for Game Pass Picks of the Week, Backwards Compatible Pick of the Week, and PC Deals of the Week. We're going to start with Game Pass. I went with Wasteland 3. This is a game that is fresh. It's relatively new. It is multi-platform. I have not seen such a tremendous RPG die out in conversations as quick as Wasteland 3. I didn't see many people put it in its Game of the Year list, but I mean, fuck, it is amazing. If you have not played Wasteland before, it is the series that gave birth to Fallout, and Wasteland 3. I mean, when I talk about spider webbing, where you make a choice and that choice leads to 2 more choices, then 2 more choices, the level of consideration of your narrative impact in this game is what you dream of with a lot of games. Like, a lot of developers go out of their way to say choice is an illusion. And it's like, in some cases it is, but you create that illusion. Wasteland 3 does give you the power to, I think Karak said in the show, you can just like shoot someone right off the bat in the beginning of the game. Like, it accounts for all of these different chaotic things you can do, or if you're not feeling chaotic, they provide you even more choices. It's so well thought out in that front, and what's great about it is the combat. Not a lot of people are fans of turn-based combat, where character builds matter, where everyone should specialize in something, but what's really good about this is the enemies all move in one turn, so you don't watch this soldier over here do this move, and then this soldier does this move. Everyone moves in one fell swoop, does their attacks and stuff, and then it immediately goes back into your hands. So if you're not a fan of strategy or turn-based combat, this is very fast-paced. Of course, on your move, it's more interesting. You're taking your time figuring out what you want to do. But with I think is like the big kind of Achilles heel is losing control and waiting to get it back. No one really likes that. So this game handles it very well. Combine that with, like I said, lots of replayability. It is 2-player online co-op. So if you don't want to play this by yourself, maybe you're new to these types of games, you can take this on with a friend, which I love to see. We see Divinity Original Sin 1 and 2 doing this. Baldur's Gate 3, which is in early access now, does this. These co-op RPGs that are highly replayable is awesome to see. So Wasteland 3 is my Game Pass pick of the week. If you have been skipping out on this, it is not a short time sink. It can go as long or as short as you want based on how much side content you want to do, which I guarantee you will want to. It is such a worthwhile investment of your time, though. It really respects it. It gives you a lot of things to do. It doesn't overwhelm you quite as much. It's not as difficult or as crunchy as previous Wasteland games. And the amount of choices there is really staggering. And also, now's a good time to play because they've patched it. When this game dropped, it was pretty buggy. There were lots of co-op related crashes, especially in my experience. And so, fortunately, a lot of that stuff has been worked out. Now's a good time to look at it. I should disclose, by the way, I did do a sponsored video with In Exile on this game, but I covered this game for years beforehand. I played the shit out of it. I love Wasteland 3, one of my favorite RPGs of the gen for PS4 and Xbox One. Do give this one a look if you have yet to. Highly, highly, highly recommend it.
Okay, so this is Game Pass,
Yes,
not
sir.
backwards compat.
Yes,
So I
sir.
have a question for you real quick. When I look, so we know my choice for the other. How are you defining, so some games are backwards compat, right?
Right.
And some are Game Pass and backwards compat.
Right.
How are you making sure to pick games that are only okay, when they're backwards compatible and that's your choice comes up, are you making sure to pick games that are only backwards compatible but aren't on Game Pass, or are you sometimes overlapping?
If they overlap, they overlap. I think that makes it just more attractive for people who are interested. I just want to make sure I try to avoid Game Pass picks when I do back compat, because I know Game Pass, we have to sometimes wait for the library to refresh, and we're going to be doing this show for a while. So I just try to be conscious of the suggestions I make. So if you do double dip, that's not a problem at all. But I just try to spread the wealth almost.
Okay, so that everybody knows, I've continually had issues with this behind the scenes. I think I talked about it last time, trying to figure out which one I'm choosing and what I'm choosing on these, because I do things a little different, and so I don't always get a chance to like go back and look at a Game Pass. So if we're doing Game Pass, Pillars of Eternity is on Game Pass, and it's a complete edition, and it's not backwards compatible because it's just there, right?
Yeah.
Because we're thinking backwards compatible would be Xbox Series S, Series X, right?
If Series X and S is the current consoles, so anything Xbox One and prior would be back compatible.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this one is gonna this one technically would be both. But anyway, Pillars of Eternity, I'm a huge fan. It's Obsidian. A lot of people, just like Tyranny, but that's only on PC. A lot of people haven't got into the Pillars games for whatever reason. So I've always been a huge fan. Justin Bell does the audio, and I think this will be the third Justin Bell game I've mentioned, because I believe Outer Worlds I mentioned in one of these lists at one time, which is also Justin Bell. But right now, he's sort of my sweetheart when it comes to I'm actually trying to step away from his stuff because I like his shit so much that I've been like tracking all of that continually. But it's an open world, huge game, RPG, CRPG, so it's that 1/4 or 3/4 graphic look. So it's a little like your choice, except you can't twist the camera like you can in Wasteland. You know, and,
that's one I've neglected
spells,
for a while.
Awesome. Yeah, because didn't you get one of the Pillars of Eternity, or did we just talk about it?
We talked about it.
I thought we talked about this.
We talked about this because I said I was looking into it for Switch, but then we said, wait, they're not updating it anymore.
That's what it was. Yeah. Okay, I remember this.
So Game Pass is a great place to play it now.
Yeah, Game Pass is a great, and it's Pillars of Eternity Complete Edition. It is not the sequel. So if you want to jump in brand new, it's available there. And looking here, I want to make sure. I don't know if Matty and I have just said that Game Pass has to be just PC or it has to be both.
No.
Or what?
I don't have rules.
Okay.
Very
so for
freeform.
Game Pass here, it looks like this is just the Xbox. It says Pillars of Eternity Complete Edition, Xbox Live, cloud enabled. This looks like, yeah, here we go. Available on Xbox Series X and Xbox One. It's technically both. But anyway, sorry. I just want to make sure I'm clear, because there's so many games and so many generations, and then Game Pass, and then you have games with gold, which sucks and shouldn't exist. So it can be confusing on what's what.
Yeah.
But yeah, check it out.
Next is our backwards compatible pick of the week. Karak, would you like to go first this time?
Yeah, I'll go first. So this one I know, and I'm locked in, because the last one I changed my mind when I was looking. But it's Rise. What's it called? Rise what of Rome?
Son of Rome.
Rise Son of Rome.
Son of a bitch.
Dude, it got hammered because it was going to be a Kinect game, and then decided to not be a Kinect game, so the combat isn't super. And I think God damn, I can't tell if I've mentioned it on this one or on Ham. I feel like I've already mentioned this one, but guess what? If I have, that's how good it is. It's worth checking out, because the story, I think it was Matty and I feel like we've said this before and I'm having deja vu, but this is a game where when you play it, I wasn't expecting to like the story because of the way the combat was. I thought it'd be pretty shallow. And instead I was like, oh shoot, I fucking like the story, actually. I actually really like the story. And it was surprising. There was shit going on. It was 8 to 10 hours. And combat's not, I'm not going to lie, it's not like super detailed. But that game is like one of those, I guess, in an Uncharted style in a weird way, where it's like a lot of pomp and circumstance, but the gameplay isn't necessarily, super deep. But I still like it.
Yeah, dude, I dig the fuck out of Rise. I think that game it had such a surprisingly good story, and the QTE combat. I remember when I bought it, it was very hesitantly at launch, and I went, I'll just add it in. It's another game to play, and I'm already buying this console, so why not? And that was the game I couldn't pull myself away from. I did the multiplayer. I played it through twice. I love that game.
Oh my god, the multiplayer! I forgot all about it.
Yeah, right. Like the gladiator mode and stuff.
There's a gladiator mode in that. Is there also a PvE gladiator mode, or is it just
I think
multiplayer?
it's PvE. Yeah, I think it's like co-op.
I think it is PvE.
Yeah.
Oh my god, this is like a brain explosion. I need to play this, go into the multiplayer. I forgot, because whenever I open it up, I'm just like single player. I don't even think of. Damn. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry,
No, dude.
That was just a good memory.
That explosion of joy is convincing enough for people.
Yeah, it's very cool.
I picked Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm Trilogy. I know this might be a little bit of a weeby pick for some of you out there, but I picked this one up. I got actually the Legacy, so it came with Ultimate Ninja Storm 4 as well. And I gotta say, these games are, I don't want to say a guilty pleasure, because you can see the effort, like in the art style, the cutscenes. I mean, it is aged phenomenally in that manner. The fact that Ninja Storm 1 still looks as good as it does is incredible. That game came out when I was in 6th grade, and putting it in now, it's amazing how good it looks. But I've been hopping around this whole trilogy with their different cast of characters. It's a fighting game, 3D fighting game. It's an anime fighting game, if you couldn't tell by the name. And it's not anything that will blow your socks off, but they do a really good job, I feel, retelling the story for Naruto. Is it as deep as the show? No, it's not. But there's a level of care there. There's some really great moments that are recreated, that having control of, just other than the simplest way to describe it is it feels really good, and it gets you to care, which a lot of anime games don't. And so I'm playing this because, as a huge fan of Demon Slayer, I absolutely adore that show. The team CyberConnect, who made Ultimate Ninja Storm Trilogy as well as 4, and they also did Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, they are working on now this new Demon Slayer game, which literally looks like Ultimate Ninja Storm but with Demon Slayer characters, which is exactly what I wanted. That is a show that's animation-wise incredibly stylish, eye candy kind of moments throughout, and so I think it's a perfect fit. So I'm playing this now just to kind of satiate that desire. But I have to say, if you haven't looked into these games and you kind of want a nice summary of the stories, and you don't want to sit through hundreds of episodes of anime, this isn't a bad pick.
And it gives you 3, right?
Yeah, gives you 3.
Called it the trilogy. Okay.
Yeah, so you get 1 through 3, and then if you like that all, you can get 4. 4 has a huge cast of characters, like pages.
So what kind of game is this? Is this third person flying around as a character? Is this first
3D
person?
fighter.
Or not, 2D?
3D
it's
fighter.
A 3D fighter.
Yeah.
Okay, so like a Tekken?
It functions with, it's very, see, that's the thing. It's hard to describe because if you just call it, it's button mashy, it is not just that, but there is just one button to attack. You have your punching, kicking attack, which is circle. You have triangle, which is going to be, Y, which is going to be how you like charge your chakra or you power up certain attacks. X will be kind of using shurikens and ninja tools to keep your distance. And if you're holding A and moving around, instead of just walking, your character's going to like leap and do like tons of flips to avoid attacks. So there is this, it's not a deep fighter, it's not a competitive fighter, but there are techniques and styles of play and fighting styles within this massive cast of characters that creates some level of depth that makes it fun to go between all of the roster and fight with all these pairs. There's also support characters, so you can call in help from your team of 3, and sometimes you can do solo fights. You probably have. It's pretty good.
I probably reviewed it and can't remember because there's so many of the, because I know Xenoverse and that type of combat, but the type of combat you're talking about, I just don't remember.
It's like Xenoverse, but more refined.
Okay.
And less inputty. So Xenoverse is like, hold R2 and press square and Kamehameha.
Yeah.
And it's not like that.
Oh, okay.
Just a quick shout out to your boy Nikki V. He says, hey, Spec Ops spoilers, Karak and Pizza Fingers, Matty. I recently picked up a Series X, so I just wanted to drop in my own back compat recommendation this week, the Metal Gear Solid HD collection. I made the amateur mistake of selling my PS3, so like most PS players, I've been waiting years to replay these bad boys. As Chris always says on Sacred Symbols, it's insane that these PS classics are pretty much exclusive to Xbox on modern hardware. Cheers, boys. Nick. Thank you for writing in, Nick. This is a great point. So
Yeah.
I love MGS too, so go give that a look. All right. Nearing the wrap up here. PC deals of the week. This is our most extensive one yet. I actually found some great threads on Reddit which update deals for parts, for games constantly.
Oh, cool.
Very fresh, and they have the codes there. And so what I normally did was I dug through sites I shop on and tried to look for new ones, and sometimes that was tough. So I will have a much more expanded section here on PC deals of the week, because some people will go, get rid of this section. It's like, look, we know that, number one, this is what sort of helps legitimize that we do Xbox and PC. But number two is that a lot of people have said this is very helpful to them, just having an idea of what deals are ongoing. So with that, let's keep going. Number one, Humble Bundle is having a Square Enix sale, so you can get Deus Ex Human Revolution for $2, Mankind Divided from the Deus Ex series for $5, and we spoke about Just Cause a little bit earlier. If you're curious about that, you can get the whole collection of games for $10. Now, if you're morbidly curious, you can get Avengers for $30. Number two, Karak, I'm sure you'll have something to say about this. Shadow Tactics Blades of the Shogun is 90% off on Steam for $4.
Checks out.
Goddamn.
I just wasn't in love. I wasn't as in love with that as everybody else was.
Yeah,
because I believe they went on and did Desperados, which is one of the, I believe it's them. Desperados is one of the best games of last year, bar none. Like in
and
the
it's
top.
on Game Pass now.
And it's on Game Pass. If you haven't played Desperados, you're a bad person. That game is so fucking good. So I'm glad this game is out there if people, want to jump in and see what shit looks like prior to a game actually coming out good from a dev. I'm just joking. It's not that bad. I'm just not that bad. If that's the dev I'm thinking of.
2Game.com is having a Capcom sale, so you can if I could speak. Resident Evil 2 and 3 Remake are $16 and $19 respectively. Street Fighter V Champion Edition is $20, as is Devil May Cry 5. Now, for some PC parts. Intel's i9-10850K, 3.6 gigahertz, 10-core processor, which is normally $400, is currently going for $337 at BH Photo Video. So go ahead and check that out. This one's a mouthful, so I apologize. The Corsair iQ H115i RGB Pro Liquid CPU cooler is at $100. This is $30 off. The site normally sells it actually for $140, it says, but with the code 93XQJ74, you'll get this discount, as well as free Corsair thermal paste with purchase. And this is on Newegg. Apologies if I'm getting tongue-tied here. Just lots of letters, because we're going to have one more code.
Yeah.
One more code here. Velocifier's WM01 wired mechanical keyboard is going for $38 with the code MXK7WZ43. Like I said, this is at Amazon. This is a good option if you're looking for a cheap mechanical keyboard. I highly recommend looking at Rocat stuff if you're going to invest. Me and Karak love their stuff. We both own their stuff. But if you're looking for something cheap, $40 for a mechanical keyboard. I was reading some reviews. A lot of people would just like they want a mechanical keyboard for their job or something. Really good to have. So pretty cheap buy in there. And it gets the job done. Okay. That's it for our PC deals of the week. Let's move into our 5 ending questions for the show. Chester George is the first one. Hey guys. With the Bethesda acquisition in its closing moments, we are obviously interested in what this means for their new releases. However, I'm also interested about their old games. Do you think we will see them all on Game Pass? Do you think it's possible that Xbox will ask them to revisit any of their older titles to get them running best on Xbox with X/S optimization? If so, what games would you like to see? As we know, they have a fantastic collection of games that I'm sure could use the extra juice of the new consoles. Cheers, Chester. What's a game that comes to mind for you from that library? That
Daggerfall.
Oh man,
you're talking about Bethesda, right? Like Daggerfall, but I mean it's ancient, and now there's Daggerfall Unity, which is a port.
I've seen that,
but I don't know. like, not to be rude, but I think most of the Bethesda games we talk about are probably their best offerings. I would say Oblivion, like if they were some way that they could, throw out the grass farther draw distance, like some of that stuff. Oblivion had the bloom, though. People don't realize that bloom in particular for Bethesda games was bad. Like bloom, remember talking to somebody in a Bethesda and they look like what you would assume an angel would look like in an X-Files TV show. Like you're like staring into the sun, you're like, damn, this guy's shiny. So I don't know if there's a ton that I can think of from their older stuff that we haven't already got to, I would rather a remake of like a Daggerfall.
Oh God, yeah, that'd be cool.
Is there any that you can like off the top of your head? Because I think we're in their best time. Well,
yeah, I would. Of course, if the mods didn't exist, I think Fallout 4 and Skyrim are easy picks to get the 60 FPS going on that. Even if you maybe want that in a more official capacity, that'd be great to have. As for games that they could really touch up, maybe. I don't know if they do this. I haven't thrown it into my Xbox Series X yet, so I could be entirely off base with this, but making Morrowind to have some type of widescreen support, that'd be really cool.
Right. The widescreen stuff would be very cool for a lot of those.
That'd be really neat to see. And I don't know if that requires an older console. I'm sure they could have even figured that out on a 360. Of course, Dishonored 2, 60 FPS would be great. All these games are running at a higher frame rate. I think that's the main thing that would really benefit them. Jennifer Luviano writes in with something on the other end of the spectrum. Have you guys ever used an emoji wrong? My mom used the laughing emoji on a Facebook post where a person was remembering their dad who had passed.
I mean, I'm sure I don't track, like I don't track if I have, but I'm sure I have. I've used like wrong. Well, not wrong, but like currently you like when somebody's family member dies, which I find just atrocious.
Oh, yeah, when you hit like the favorite button on Twitter. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's the only thing you can hit. And you're looking going, this is not what I'm trying to say. And I get they don't want to split it up. They want their metrics to all make sense. But I would say emojis and stuff have so many alternate meanings. You never know like what somebody's saying. But I'm absolutely sure I fucked that up. Yeah, I'm sure I just never remember it.
I've accidentally nothing like substantial like this, Jennifer. We've never laughed at something like this, quite honestly. But
yeah, I can't remember. Yeah, that's true.
Like on this level, your mom probably should have just absolutely eviscerated her Facebook, removed it from the. I'm just kidding. Mistakes happen, but I mean, I've definitely when I go to send my girlfriend a heart, I've sent her like a skull emoji, like I'm cooking her up or something. I've definitely done that.
That's awesome.
And she's like, "What the fuck is this?" I'm like, "Oh right, my bad." But. Nothing on the level of seriousness that your mother seems to have committed. Furry Purple Haze writes in next. Salutations, potty mouth Matty and constantly cussing Karak. I've never been one of.
That's true. That checks out.
That does check out, right? I've never been one to be a fan of Assassin's Creed games, but always loved RPGs. So with that being said, I'm absolutely loving Valhalla. 60 hours in, and I never thought I would say that about an Assassin's Creed game. With all of that out of the way, which AC game, Origins, Odyssey, Valhalla, is your favorite and why? I've only played approximately 3 hours of Origins, never touched Odyssey because of all the bloat and level gating I heard about in reviews. By the way, Karak, there's a request here. He wants you to do a walking the walk for Valhalla. He says he enjoys what you did for Origins. Your walking the walks rock no matter what anybody says. Thanks for all your hard work and what you do. Love the show and all aspects of it. Stay sexy, stay active, keep cussing, and I love you all. Thank you, bro. Appreciate you. All right, so what is your favorite AC? I actually don't think I know this about you.
Does he mean, it sounds like he means of the 3 new ones, right?
He says, with all that out of your way, which AC game, Origins, Odyssey, Valhalla, is your favorite and why?
Yeah, so ignoring the old ones, because it'd be Syndicate, with like Syndicate or Rogue beyond all others by a good amount, I would say Odyssey. First of all, I want to say, I'm not saying you were lied to. I got to get this out because this is bothering me. Odyssey and the bloat bullshit. I was able to beat Odyssey without any purchasing and then able to go back and still do the same. I don't know how people were playing. Maybe they were playing the old style and the game requires something, but I didn't have an issue with bloat. And I saw a lot of people.
Can I speak freely?
Yes, go ahead.
The media. That's all the media talks about.
That's exactly right. No, that's right. And I don't know if they were mad because they weren't able to get as far, or they were taking long. I don't know what's going on, but I will say, if there is any title in the world that I'm confused at the discussion around, it has to be Odyssey, because I just returned to Odyssey, and again, I played it prior to any patches, and now this is the third time playing it. I do not have that issue, and I haven't had the issue. The one thing that I did hear from a person in my Discord who stated the weirdest thing. He's like, I just want to go from main mission to main mission and beat it. And I said, but even in movies, there's rocky training and getting better. So what's the problem with a game, especially a game like Odyssey, requiring the same? And I'm not talking about over a ton, but I mean some leveling to get to a certain spot. I don't know, man. I feel like Odyssey is continually misunderstood or looked at in a way I can't understand.
It's so weird. And I'm happy we brought this up, because I agree. I love Odyssey. I think it's a great game. I will say I like Valhalla a bit more, but here's what's really confusing about the whole conversation with Assassin's Creed since Odyssey is, yes, absolutely. Everyone has constantly pinned this game as bloated. It's more of a pacing issue, if anything, which is not bloat, by the way. And,
right. No, it's not.
And not that I'm correcting you, but more so in general, people call it bloat. But then I see these same reviewers who were cranking on Odyssey, loving Valhalla. And I'm sorry, I love Valhalla. Like I just said, this is my favorite of the bunch of these three. Valhalla's way fucking longer. Valhalla arguably could be considered more bloated for some people. Way easier in my opinion, because it requires you to grind your power level up to get the full ending of the game. That is required of you. And I look at that and think this game can go upwards of 80 hours. It is a long game compared to the rest of the series. Odyssey, despite its, I put this in quote, bloat, I beat in 40. That's half the time. And I think Valhalla spends your time better. It's not just like another big quest line. I think the stuff happening in the world, to me, was more interesting. But I just think we talk a lot about elevating the conversation. We talked about this on Ham Radio, just idiots at times. And it's like, this isn't idiocy to me. It's just like, are you fucking paying attention at this point? To me,
yeah, I mean,
doesn't seem that way.
I don't want to I just don't, there's been titles where I've rated different than others, and good
that's
or bad.
Fine. Yeah.
And that's, and sometimes I can understand it, and sometimes there's some confusion, but I would say I'm genuinely, like, there's a genuine confusion around Odyssey. And dude, we just had people doing like a Discord race where they were like, let's see who can 100% it, or let's blah, blah, blah. And I see all these people playing it in various different ways, and it just never pops up. And I saw people playing it day one, and it never popped up. But I would see other people report that there was something going on. And one of the things I did discuss is it possible that with Odyssey, there are a couple ways to play, as in skill choices, how you do things, where it could possibly feel more bloated and almost magically be different in somebody else's eyes. And I do feel that might be possible. And the reason why is because there is two titles in a series that absolutely, to me, feels this way, and that's Mordor. I thought Shadow of War and Shadow of Mordor were grotesquely overrated, and I thought the Nemesis system was horrendous. It was broken all the time. I would have enemies come back who were supposedly dead with weird, like, weaknesses they shouldn't have. It never made sense. It made the game dramatically worse, though I like the idea. I love the idea. It made the game at times work, but other times dramatically worse. So there's those games, and there's Odyssey, but I'm still more confused about Odyssey. And I would agree with you that people who were bitching about Odyssey and then played Valhalla, I'm like, dude, I don't understand. Because you know me, I'm not a huge fan of Valhalla. I felt Valhalla did what Odyssey did, but was a less interesting story to me. Right. And there were some technical issues I had with Valhalla that add on to that. And so I just don't get it. I don't see how those people played that. And even when I talk to people in our Discords, your Discord, my Discord, they're like, dude, it's identical. What are people even bitching about with Odyssey? Like, other than it being awesome.
I know, right?
So, yeah, it's man, I'm glad he brought it up, because I think I will always be confused. Who was saying what about Odyssey, and watching their coverage, or watching people stream it and not having those issues. That was another thing. Sorry, I'm going on a tangent, but this bothered me.
Keep going.
The reviews came out and people were streaming it and not having issues. Other people were saying they were having, but there was no patch in between them. They were playing the same version I was playing. And I was like, well, if they're not having it, who are these magical people who are having it?
Mm-hmm. I think what happens is it's very common in press and even in content creators is they speak for themselves and then broaden that. They generalize their emotions and their experience and say more by the law of numbers, other people have to be feeling what they're feeling, and they just put it out there. And at that point, it's an opinion piece, and they're entitled to their opinion, but it's more so it doesn't add up when a game is objectively longer, comes out in the same series, is arguably, and by all technicality, even if I enjoyed it more bloated. But then you're going to call Odyssey bloated because you spent less hours in that than Valhalla, but you like Valhalla more.
Do you think as somebody who liked Valhalla more than me, do you think it's because they changed the way the world events work? And so they did, like, that is the big change in Valhalla, is they made world events. They sort of took away the side mission stuff. Do you think maybe it's as easy as, not to be rude, people were fooled into thinking because we changed the name and their slight presentation, that changed everything for them? Which, it's not unheard of, and I'm not talking down to somebody, even though I just did. I actually am sort of reconstructing this argument and thinking that maybe that's what it was maybe the world events, which are really missions. Maybe the way it was offered was so dramatically different. And
I think it might be a flow thing. You're able to, the world events are way quicker. They're simpler to figure out.
That's true.
And so
that is true.
It could be a flow thing where you're going from one thing to the next and it doesn't feel as long, even though you're spending more time in the game world.
Right. That makes sense.
I don't know. I've gone back to Valhalla before, man. Like I dig that game, and that's just my own opinion. But at the end of the day, I don't know how you can argue Odyssey bloat, Valhalla not. That Valhalla I thought had a more interesting and better story. And all of that is subjective, but that didn't matter. Valhalla, you still had to do side shit to be the power level for the region you were going to enter. And that really
there was a
mid to late game.
Yeah, and it definitely picks up. And that's another thing with games. You know, I do see people going like, who beat it when they reviewed it? Whatever, because once it gets out in the open, you'll still have people hating a game after the first 1 hour. So it's like, you know, you may have a couple reviewers who didn't get so long in a certain game, so they maybe didn't get some skills, or they're not able to explain a difficulty curve or what have you. But with this one, it's even beyond that, man. It's like where I'm just confused by the discussion, where I'm just, I don't get it. Like, and then I've actively gone back a couple times with different patches, because Crazy Herb, who's in yours, was in my Discord for a long time. He's a big fan, and he played a lot of these, and I was like, maybe, you know, there was a couple patches out there that were really rough. So that's where you get some consumers saying that, but it's so weird because I can't find, at least in my Discord, almost any consumer who feels Odyssey had bloat. What they will say is what you just said. They did not enjoy Odyssey's story, which then caused them to engage less in the game because they did not enjoy the story as much as Valhalla. So maybe that's what it is that the story carried for some people, carried one game and didn't carry, because even Origins, Matty, Origins is pretty, I mean, it's pretty big. It's got a lot of shit.
It is.
And the idea that somebody wouldn't think that was bloated is pretty interesting if they think Odyssey is. I don't know.
I just think it's a
diatribe
thing
aside.
At the end of the day. Yeah.
It may be, yeah, just how it gives out that data.
All right. Well, thank you for writing in, Furry Purple Haze.
Yeah, good question. That was interesting.
Juan Paulina writes in. She, I almost said gentleman. Hello, gentlemen. I'm a bit of a turncloak when it comes to consoles. After being all in with the Xbox 360, I skipped Xbox One, and now I'm back with the Series X, and I'm not only loving it, but I realized I kind of missed the Xbox ecosystem. When I heard Last Stand Media was starting this podcast, I got very excited and love what you two are both doing with defining Duke in your own channels. Thank you. Now I'm curious about ACG's name, Angry Centaur Gaming. What's the story behind this? Are you the Centaur? Why are you angry? Would love to know the story. P.S. Matty, don't feel left out. Your channel's name is just more straightforward. You're a dude, named Matty, who plays. Nothing wrong with a little simplicity. Thank you, Juan. I appreciate you going that length. You didn't have to clarify. Karak, in an effort to get to know you better and your wild, wacky name of ACG, I already know the backstory. I know your lore, so to say. But for those who don't.
Yeah, it was well, first of all, I wasn't thinking of creating a channel for this kind of stuff, but it was a roommate who was not an English speaker, and he had a dirty room, and he lived with me. And I went into his room, and his room was fucking dirty, and I started kicking stuff around. And I'm like, dude, you need to clean up your room. And we played D&D together, and he's like, you're like an angry centaur roommate. And then from that point on, when the gaming thing came up, I was like, I'm just going to go with Angry Centaur Gaming. That's it. That's all.
it.
And then ACG is because Angry Centaur Gaming's too long. ACG just made sense. And also people are like, is he angry? Yeah. However, if you go and listen to my videos, I will be angry about things. And those things, when you listen to me, you'll be like, whoa, he is right at the cusp of like needing to be on watch lists. However, it will not be this kind of stuff. If you go back and look at some of my why videos, there'll be times where, you know, I'll be livid about particular things. It should be more like focused, angry focused Centaur Gaming, because I get focused on things, and that's when you'll notice that I get really, really mad. But I think the angry thing also, people think it's like an angry Joe or angry video game nerd, and it's not connected to those, because games normally don't make me angry.
Yeah.
At all.
It's usually decisions by companies, if anything.
Yeah. Oh, no, those are the ones where, like, if you, certain decisions, like Take-Two, or the last one was 505. That Ultimate Control Edition.
Oh, my God.
Like, that's one of the few where I saw my name popping up all over on various forums, and like, why is this guy so mad? And then people are like, no, you don't understand. If he's mad, like, if he's made a video just about that, then he's thought it through. And he's like, this is, you know, well, it was not clickbait. It was like that video. I was like, we're going to fucking talk about something that makes, and you know, that's where it comes up.
I remember making a video on that, and it was one of those things where, have you ever sat down in front of the camera? I don't know. I'm a little more, I don't want to say, I'm not saying this in an insulting way, but I think I get a little more emotional and animated when I'm on camera compared to you. But I remember distinctly with that video, I went through the news, I saw it for myself, right? It's registered in my head. But then when I'm on camera, I'm reading it, I'm realizing how fucking baffling some of their wordplay was. And I was just losing it in that video. And I mean, yeah, that was one of the dumbest things. I recall how they tried to justify like charging for it and how they couldn't do it. It's just, man.
Dude, that's why, especially as somebody who's done PR, that's when I get the maddest, is when I see fake PR. And I'll see that trying to get it both ways, and that's when you'll see a video from me. When I'm like, all right, we're done. Like, if you want to just say we're charging, bitches, I would be okay with that. No lie. If they came out and said, hey, it's costing us a little bit of money, we've decided, guess what? We're charging extra, and just be done, I'd be like, you know, fist bump, because then the consumer knows. Like, there's no question. The consumer knows what they're getting, and the company has stated what they're doing, and you can both come to an agreement. That's the way, like, a free market should work. But when you get that weird-ass shit where they're like, we've gone in and we've looked, and technically, and once somebody says technically, you're like, oh, no, here we go. And they just fall apart, don't they? Yeah. They fall apart. They can get really bad sometimes. 505 being one of the...
That was definitely one of the worst. That was terrible. Last write-in comes from Kyle Clays. Hearing you two on Defining Duke helped me find yours and Dusty Boy's podcast, Ham Radio. And I got to say, I'm very thankful for your guys' presence on Last Stand Media. Hearing a show tiered towards Xbox and the conversation on that side of things is a nice change of pace. Thank you, Kyle. But while I got you here, I got to ask, have either of you played either Transformers War/Fall of Cybertron games on the Xbox 360 and PS3? They make me nostalgic as can be, even if they're basically just Gears of War with transforming robots. Unfortunately, there's no way to play them with back compat, even with the disc. I'm curious if you guys have run into this with any of your personal favorites from the 360 era. Thank you for all you do. Stay sexy and stay active, you two. I like how my outro is being used here. This is cool. A lot of you must be tuning in. Okay, that's good.
That's why when you said no. Oh, sorry. Continue.
No. Sorry, I was going to hop right into the topic. Sorry. I get excited and I try to jump into it. It's good that you stop me.
Why do you not have stay sexy, stay active comes up a lot. Why did you said you didn't do merch? Why don't you do like go to Redbubble or Teespring and just, dude, Teespring is so simple. You could just literally type in, find the font that works for you and type in stay sexy, stay active, and that would be your shirt, and boom, you have a store.
I think it's partially because I have an idea for a bigger, almost clothing line level idea.
Gotcha. Because
God forbid I do anything small and simple, but part of me goes, even I wouldn't want to wear, I would make a stay sexy, stay active shirt, like no matter what I do, because I think that kind of can translate whether you're going to the gym or something.
Mr. Matty Plays doesn't translate as well. Yeah. If that's what you're saying.
Exactly. I wouldn't wear stuff alongside my brand because I'm a guy who talks about RPGs. And if you saw my little chibi face for my channel icon on the chest of someone's shirt, be like, what the fuck is that, man? What are you wearing? Take that shit off and throw it in the fire. So I personally think whenever I do clothing of some kind, it's going to be more of a line of clothes designed around gaming ideas. And I have like a whole thing written out. My girlfriend and I came up with it, and one day we'll go after it. But I didn't want it just to be a simple tie-in of merch, kind of its own thing, because I feel like that's the best way to approach things. Otherwise, it's just tacking on. Like your
I do mine
awesome.
based mine on games, and that's when mine sort of exploded. Was when I started going like, what's going on with like Ghost of Tsushima, and I was all, if I can find some art that fits that and the robotic stuff and the esports style. The only reason I did esports style is because I had Carlos, who runs G2 Sports, on the channel, and I saw some of his stuff, and I was like, oh, I get it, because I was going more towards one big picture. It just didn't look as good. Right. But I think stay sexy, stay active. And then there's so many, you have so many little one-liners and like little thing, I don't know what, but you have so many like little things about the channel that I just feel like, dude, even though it is something that is not necessarily of the most positive, but you're almost perfect.
Oh, yeah.
That's like, dude, what if you were like to do like that would be
shirt, yeah.
Was that what it was? Near perfect?
Yeah,
that would be hilarious if somehow maybe you got a game that was broken, or you get a blue screen, Windows blue screen crash, and you're like almost perfect. I just think playing into that would be fucking hilarious.
100%.
Because you have 2 or 3 one-liners. Mine is like peace out. It's no big deal. But you have like these word-liner things that I feel you could put. No, I know.
Yeah,
but I mean, they've resonated happens. For years long enough that they're brought up, so you might as well play into them.
Yeah, I agree.
At least that's my opinion. It's like,
I agree.
I'd wear Stay Active. I wouldn't wear a Mr. Matty shirt because I'd be like, that's weird. I'm on the channel. But if you had a Stay Sexy, Stay Active shirt, I'd wear that for sure. Like, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's definitely something that I've thought about. It's something I'll probably pursue. Like, I'll add it into the line of what I want to do.
You want to pursue?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why not, right? Okay, exhale.
What did he ask? Did he ask something?
Oh my God! Wow, yeah, I closed my thing. I think
he asked something real quick.
Shifted so quickly. Yeah, sorry. He was asking. Kyle was asking about Xbox 360 era games that we want to go back and play, but we can't.
Yeah.
So normally we get asked about like, what do you want to see updated, remastered, added to Game Pass? What is a Xbox 360 era game that you remember fondly, but you can't access unless you maybe hook up the 360? To me, that'd be Operation Darkness. That game is stranded. It's a,
is it?
Yeah, it's just like a Fire Emblem style. And by Fire Emblem, I mean it's combat. It's more. I'm sorry, I should say more Valkyria Chronicles. Yeah, it's super cool. World War II, Nazis, anime. There's zombies. It's fucking weird, man. But it's an Atlas game. It's one of the more expensive complete in box games you can get on your 360. It still goes for like $60, and that game is just completely stranded. And I get why. I don't know how many people are demanding to play it, but I would love to be able to not have to hook up my 360 and just throw that into my Series X. Because right now, I have it on top of my dresser. I have my 360, PS5, Switch, and then my Series X. And it just looks terrible.
So for me, the one game, and I just checked to verify it's still not backwards compatible, is Rise of the Argonauts. Imagine Odyssey mixed with a BioWare game. Assassin's Creed Odyssey mixed with a BioWare game, because it's got like the sword and shield and stuff. That game is fucking awesome. It has you doing like kingly things. It has you role playing. It has you taking on different gods, and if you switch the god you're taking on, it adjusts your I mean, that game was way ahead of its time. It does have some control issues, but I have some people playing it right now, and I'm almost 100% sure that has not been moved up. Most likely for some IP reason, but very sad because I love that game.
Yeah.
So.
I want to check that out. You speak highly of it. All right. Well, that'll do it for this week's episode of Defining Duke, an Xbox podcast. That was episode 8. And if you got this deep, as always, and we've seen more and more of the engagement, and we appreciate that, tag us on Twitter. Hashtag Defining Duke. Our handles are at G27status and at Jeremy Penter. You can find us over there. Let us know what you thought of the show. Connect with us. Give us some feedback. Whether it be good or bad, keep your bad stuff to yourself, honestly. But, good stuff only.
Don't worry. I'll just come into the chat, or I'll just come into the YouTube comments and hammer on you if they're stupid. Well, no, some are good. But, like, we had one that was like, it was about the PC stuff. It was like, you guys should stop doing that. And I was like, the fuck you talking about? First of all, we're brand new. Like, and PC stuff makes sense. But they were like, it would force Matty to do something. I was like, force? My God, man. Where are we?
Yeah,
where are we in
keeping
humanity
me at
now? Where
gunpoint here
that's like
doing
a
this show.
Yeah,
Colin's
and
in the room behind me.
I will come in and I'll just be like, nope, stopping everything, fucking putting it into this. But yeah, I would say definitely hashtag us. Also check out Matty's channel and mine separately because we do have our own patrons, and I think we're doing some awesome stuff. It'll be an interesting couple weeks because we have reviews, but then yeah, there's going to be, there's all kinds of news. Of course, the Bethesda thing. Yeah. Whenever that happens, that it's going to be an awesome time to watch. I also have my Reddit open, which has been a blast. If you guys get a chance, check that out. And stay safe and stay sexy.
Hell yeah.
Stay active.
That's such a great idea. I should have rebranded my outro for until the pandemic was over to stay safe and stay sexy instead of stay active.
Yeah, I messed that up, but I always say stay safe at the end of my pod. But now we could just say, yeah, stay safe, stay sexy. You should definitely do a shirt.
I like that. Yeah, I want to. Maybe I will do a Shoreline thing. I don't know. I'll think about it. It's worth pondering.
Dude, if you need help, tell me, because Teespring will set you up in minutes. And you
I've
put it on your YouTube.
And
so it's
Redbubble
connected.
And stuff. Yeah.
I had Redbubble. They were a disaster.
Yeah,
I had
stopped
IP
them.
issues. I've had no issues with Teespring. And if they do, there was one time where I uploaded something. They were like, this might be somebody else's. I emailed them and I was like, blah, 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 blah. And they said, okay, you have to remake or copy the old version, but you can repost it. Our system now knows it's okay. And it was up and running. I'm telling you, it's been a huge boon, not sales wise, but people saying it's nice to have somebody say, hey man, that shit looks awesome. I won't wear it or won't buy it, but it still looks awesome. It's still a cool bonus to have.
Yeah.
So, instead of Markiplier. I'm gonna be mad. I actually like his stuff. It's just that it's also cartoony. I want some manly stuff. I need to have just a beard. Oh, on the where somebody's shirt has the rim, just a beard. I'm gonna look into that today.
You actually should. That'd be great. Awesome. Just a plain white shirt with a beard. I would buy that. I don't have one, so.
ACG. Anyway, yeah. Thanks everybody. I appreciate you guys watching. It's been a blast.
Absolutely. So with that, time for us to wrap it up. We appreciate you all tuning in. We will catch you next week with episode 9 of Defining Duke. Until then, stay safe and do stay sexy. Peace out.
Peace out.
Defining Duke, an Xbox podcast, is a product and trademark of Last Stand Media and Collins Last Stand LLC, and is recorded from the good old USA. The show was conceived by Matthew Mr. Matty Plays Schroeder and me, Colin Moriarty, and is written and produced by Matthew Schroeder. Matty's co-host is Jeremy ACG Penter. Defining Duke's executive producer is Dustin Furman, and the show is edited by associate producer Ben Smith. All of Last Stand's theme music is by Ramon Narvaez. As you know, all of Last Stand Media's shows, including Defining Duke, are fan-funded on Patreon at patreon.com/laststandmedia. The following names are at the producer support level or higher on Patreon, and we're grateful for your kindness and generosity.